Hello. I can't believe I did that. I messed it up with the countdown. You got like a quick glimpse of us real quick before it went into that crazy intro. But welcome. My name is Turmentic. I am joined with the amazing Dean from Dean Streams, aka MetaZoo Nation down in Australia. And brought along tonight as well CuttthroatZoo. He's the one that actually runs pretty much the MetaZoo archives. Argos should actually be joining us here in a little bit. And yeah, we're going to pretty much try to do a recap of 2023 from the beginning all the way till the end. I can't wait to show you this graphic that Shane actually made, because it actually shows everything that took place over the summer during the entire year. Again, Shane, MetaZoo Archives, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Legendary.
But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna just jump right into it because this is gonna be probably lengthy. And I see there's a lot of there's like great people in here too. I like Taylor, Hasbar, Nick from Nick Strength and Power. How are you doing? Star North, Rob the Rob. Like, thanks for jumping in here. So to start it off, I want to show this is the original roadmap that MetaZoo actually released early this year. Okay, it looks pretty full. On top of that too, then this right here was the towers roadmap that they actually released, and this is the actual unofficial roadmap that CuttthroatZoo, Shane, MetaZoo Archives, has actually put together with all of the different products that actually came out during the year, stuff that's already been delivered, stuff that's on pre-order. So that right there is what we are going to be referencing this entire time. We'll start right up at the beginning. And this is something that you're going to have to probably talk about, Dean. And I don't know, I think you might have gotten one, but I didn't get any of the Bear Walker MetaZoo skateboards.
Yeah. No. I got a few of those. when they dropped. That was cool, man. That was a good set. It was kind of the right way to start off the year. I never actually bought any of the Revive stuff, like via pre-order in the past. But the Bear Walker stuff was kind of a no-brainer. I remember, I think it was Bailey that was doing like a live stream on Instagram with Bear Walker, and he was like hand painting, like airbrushing one of the boards live. And I was just like, how could you not want to get your hands on one of those? Like, and they weren't cheap, right? But it makes sense. They're like, hand carved and then laser etched and then airbrush hand painted. Like, man,
it was like a level up from the Revive boards almost, in essence. That's why.
Yeah. Well, Bear Walker's not like a known brand down here in Australia, right? Like, I didn't know who that was. Okay. I could probably speak for a lot of the Aussies, but yeah, it was dope. It was pretty cool.
I don't know if I've actually ever seen one of them actually in person, to be honest with you. I've seen some of the cards, but I don't know if I've actually ever seen one of the Bear Walker boards in person.
Yeah. They're nice. Very nice. Got a good weight to them.
And that was pretty much most of what we got in January. We did get an update on the towers, because that was when they introduced all of the requirements for like water tower, the payouts for water tower, qualifications for water tower. Because I believe you had until, I think it was end of January, I think, or so, in order to actually do a qualifier, in order to actually qualify for the water tower, which they held down in March. Besides that, I don't really remember anything else in January. I think that was it. I think those.
It was so long ago. If you're asking me to chime in, I can't remember anything else either, man. Like,
oh, that's true. All right, I do want to take a second, real quick, actually, and once again say congratulations, Dean. How are you enjoying being a daddy?
Oh yeah, it's aged me a couple of years in about 7 weeks, but I love it. He's meant to be asleep right now. I can hear him crying out, but his mum will get him. He'll be all right.
Just let him. Just talk. Just talk him to sleep.
Yeah, that's it.
Everything going good though?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Thanks.
Good.
Thanks
Good. The next stuff that actually came out, it looked like in February, was the Orlando Collecticon, and I know this is a contentious spot with a lot of people, but the streamer kits. The MetaZoo streamer kits 1.0 that were native themed, and I know it's a big thorn in people's sides because we still haven't gotten them.
We don't know if that was supposed to be native. They're supposed to be native themed. We don't know because
they were supposed to be native themed. They did have some elements of like war spoilers in them too, from like the playmats and such. Last update we got was that they were missing one of the components. We haven't gotten any further updates from that. I do know that recently they started opening up, allowing people to not get like a refund, but actually get store credit for the streamer kits. I know that you have to contact support in order to actually get that process started. I'm still waiting for it. I'm still stoked. I still actually want that playmat, the first original playmat they actually teased with like the light and dark beasties fighting each other. And to be completely honest, I know it's taken a while, like almost a year for those, but I'm pretty confident when I say that they're going to somehow make it right. I don't know how, I can only speculate, but I don't know. I'm still excited for the streamer kit, to be honest with you. And I know a lot of people, that's like I said, it's a big thorn, but and the more people that actually get refunds for it, the lesser print, like whatever that stuff is, or that actually gives MetaZoo even some resources to send to like smaller channels, Instagram content creators, TikTok content creators, things like that. It gives them a little bit of an arsenal, even if people do want the store credit refund. So, ooh,
just get one of mine.
What? That's sick. That's pretty sick, playmat.
Sick of waiting for them. Just got them made ourselves.
I see. I agree with the Mothhawk. They'll probably make them loaded, but I wish they just would have kind of given us a little bit of an update. That's completely.
Yeah, I have that feeling. I feel like they will be loaded. It's been like one of the sorest talking points this year. So like when people are like, oh, I can get a refund now. I'm not getting a refund. If you have to wait this long for something, MetaZoo aren't silly in that aspect, right? Like they'll be loaded. Imagine if they weren't. Imagine if we got them 12 months later and it was the same thing. That's like just nuking yourself. Why would you do that? So you can almost guarantee that they're going to be loaded.
Yeah, in the short term, two things I would have suggested would be to have taken any refunds that are needed with the plan on offering what product is extra at that point to partners. So partners end up getting a source to buy it wholesale, get it to people who didn't pre-order, as well as anyone who doesn't want their money held up, isn't willing to wait for it anymore, whatever it ends up being, they'd have an opportunity to get their money back. But being in limbo of not hearing about it, fighting to get the money back, all that kind of a thing just makes it worse over time. So if they would have done something to alleviate the pressure in the midterm, that would have helped a whole lot. But instead, we're just left wondering, and people get more sour about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it is. I do want to say hi to Gary, King Pokemon, and Happy New Year. He popped in here, said Happy New Year to everybody.
Hey, Gary.
Love that guy. But yeah, no, that you hit it. The communication, basically, just letting us know what's going on with it. Which I mean, they have too. Like they didn't specifically say what the one item was that was holding it up, but that's something else too that might be a reoccurring theme, is that you can't update if there's no update. And like some of this stuff takes time. Like it's not just an overnight boom, we're switching gears. Like some of this stuff, it's gonna I don't know. Like I said, some stuff it takes time.
Yeah, I'd say less important than new news is to simply say that it's still in process, and to not say soon until it's all in hand, ready to go. Because no one's going to want to hear soon if it isn't in hand, and silence isn't a positive thing either. So definitely can't expect new news and new updates on it and things to change. But if they're at least able to remind people where it's at and explain, then people wouldn't feel like they're not being heard.
It's fair. That's true. So that pretty much wraps up February.
I wouldn't have thought, and you just said it. You just said February.
No,
I wouldn't think we'd still be talking about streamer kits in December.
It should come with it should come with like a promo card, 1 year anniversary of. streamer kit.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Actually, in February, it's supposedly the month of love, but there was something else too that is another thorn right now, and that is specifically the NFT promo for the Mothman.
The gold heart.
Yeah. Which I will say, and we haven't gotten any sort of update on any of that, but with the CryptidCon Chippy Babe promo being shipped out over the last couple weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if people start getting shipping notifications for that within a month, within like maybe less than a month even. Just because that, if you start going back and looking at the backlog of promos or anything like that, it pretty much went Chippy Babe to the NFT card and then blah, 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 blah down the line. So I think that one actually should be coming out pretty soon too. That's just from me trying to do math in my head.
From a quick business perspective, regarding like streaming kits and things like that, because I take a lot of pre-orders for things in Australia down here, and if somebody is sick of waiting too long and they want a refund, I just give them a refund. I think the easiest way to alleviate all the bullshit that happened with that would have been for MetaZoo to just offer refunds. If somebody's pre-ordering something from you and it takes longer than it should, especially if your refund policy is 30 days, then it shouldn't take more than 30 days for that product to get out. Then you just offer the refund. And that's it. Back yourself, back the product that when you do release it, people will buy it because you've made it the right way. Like that's what I do. And I haven't had an issue yet because I'll offer refunds. And then that happened with somebody with Disclosure Files 2.0. They've come out. Those cards are absolutely elite. Right. So the straight away he's like, hey man, can I get those packs? I'm like, nah, bro, they're gone.
I laugh at his Star North comment. He says the streamer kits are now a part of MetaZoo saga. We will still joke about them in the future. I'm kind of hoping it never comes. 5 years from now, all those who never canceled will get some sweet item.
You know what I mean? That's like the full stop of it. If any business out there or anything, that's the way it should be. Just if you keep your customers happy, back yourself, back your product, back your process. But if they have given you money and they don't want to wait any longer, just give them their money back.
Well, I will say too, like we don't, and I'm not trying to like, we don't know what is in that streamer kit. And that's one thing that I've been really focused on is if there's any, and I know I'm probably in the minority, but like lore centric things, spoilers, stuff like that. Cause we know that like War, for example, is the first lore centric set. And I'm not saying that would excuse the actual like delay of them, but I wonder if that's part of the reason why we haven't heard much about like what the missing component is or why they can't just send it and then that later. Because they did that kind of with the Dark Tower bundles where they sent the bundles or you picked them up actually at the Dark Tower or through your partner and they sent the pins out later. So I think there's more to these streamer kits than they can let on without kind of just completely giving it away. Yeah. But I kind of see where Shane's coming from though. Like at this point, would it almost behoove them to just kind of give it away almost in essence instead of hide it? Because then giving away whatever it is, the secret to reveal could create that hype for the product again.
My thoughts were either treat it like the Valentine's Day plushie where it's better off just giving what you have to everybody and having a loss on shipping, but get that other thing out later on, like the promo, or if it was financially viable, treat it like the LGS kits, where at first shops put money into it, but then after talk about it and everything, MetaZoo decided to refund everyone and say, hey, this will boost the community. This is important that we get out there at zero cost or just shipping costs or something. So that could be a way to mend things some as well, is if the streamer kits end up turning into more of a giveaway item for the community rather than at cost for the community.
I mean, it's a funny thing too, right? I remember when the streamer kits dropped, I only bought one because I was like, what's honestly in it? Like, I am a streamer and I don't need a kit. I got everything I need. Like, what could you possibly give me that I don't need anyway? So I just bought one, and at the time, did not anticipate 11 months later we'd still be talking about them. It's almost like whoever said it, Star North or Haspar, like it's like a meme. It's like a legit Legit
Hey,
meme.
I want that playmat. I don't care. I still want that playmat, man.
I told you, I
still want
got
that
one's
playmat.
made.
I mean, I want one of yours
mine.
too. I want one of yours too, but I still want that playmat, man.
Hey, I think
take one of
mine
each of
kind of
them.
look better anyway. I think mine look better. I was able to get, there's chibis in there, there's red inks in there, there's Easter eggs in there. They look good.
So that pretty much wraps up February, and then we
What a month!
What a month! And then we get into March, which was actually really, really huge in my opinion for MetaZoo. It was the first month that they actually introduced the tower circuit. The first tower was actually held at the Frogman Festival in Mason, Ohio. It was a blast. It was awesome. Like the entire experience about it, of going to the festival, the tournament taking place right next to the vendors, seeing some of the vendors that I had made friends with at CryptidCon and other things like Mothman Festival, stuff like that there. I'm excited for the tournament to watch some of it, things of that nature. I loved that like Dee got to be highlighted. Like she actually got to present at Frogman Festival, which was really, really awesome. I loved actually watching that. And yeah, the tower, that was the first competitive event at that size that I had ever gone to. And it was, I was blown away. I was like, Water Tower will probably is still, even though I actually did very well in Dark Tower, Water is probably still my favorite just because it was the first inaugural one ever.
It was also free entry too, wasn't it?
No, you had to pay to get into the festival.
The festival, okay, yeah. But that was before they actually, charged people to enter the tournament, which I can't. I mean, I think the Demon Fergus said it on his video.
He did, and I was going to quote him actually because it's perfect.
Even now, paying $50 is for what you can actually win. It's insanely cheap. Like it's good. I wish I could have gone, man. I wanted to go to so many towers, but I had a damn baby, so I'm stuck down here.
Frogman Fest was a great combination of a bit of cryptid tourism, convention, and competitive event. You had the location of Loveland Tower. You had a cryptid convention to attend. You get to talk to all sorts of people who are into the same thing. You have the competitive event. The competitive event was open for anyone attending the festival to walk through and see everybody and talk to the competitors. It was just a great meld of all of them happening at once and being easy access, which was great.
It was it was the mayhem that the Terra bonuses actually produced at the tower that just made me fall in
first
love.
Exposure to the Terra bonuses.
Well, I had played before. I knew how to play things of that nature, but like the tower itself, competing in that is what made me really fall in love with playing this. Like I love playing this game. I love trying to find like crazy combos and stuff now. And out of all the different formats, the tower format with the Terra bonuses, I think Dark Tower did it perfect. I think the perfection of Tower. We'll get to that later though, but Dark Tower, I think the way they did the Terras was perfect. But I really liked the 3-time Terra bonus was just insane. It was insane.
It was a good idea. I remember when it first dropped, people were like, no, you're right, Shane.
I was going to say, a lot of lesser-known cards as well, out of release event decks and stuff, got a chance to shine. Cards that people wouldn't have even known existed because they weren't commonly played, had a chance to be played, traded, sold, and people have interested in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember when they announced the towers prior to these Terra bonuses, I was like, if it's somewhat restrictive, you can almost predict exactly what each deck is going to be. And then they released those like 3 times Terra bonuses, and I'm like, well, there you go. That's what you got to do, because now it's going to be totally different. It's not going to be, your standard level and lockdown deck like with Mailmen and all that sort of stuff. Like you can really shake it up. It was like Tehihan's like dominating, the Earth Tower. Who would have thought a Tehian from a Nightfall was ever going to be like a playable card until they did those things.
At Water, you had a couple different viable decks. You actually had the Ornament deck that you could use with Loveland Frogman. You had basically the chessie, if you're trying to basically just get chessie out real quick to swing with it. Or you actually like the build I had, which I had so much, it made me fall in love with traps, was the trap build. Like I had bait robbers and I could target itself and fatigue it to draw a card, and I went through my deck so quick it was crazy. Yeah, no, water was a blast. It was, and again, like you were saying, Shane, with it being at the festival near Loveland Castle. I mean, you were only 20 minutes away from Loveland Castle. It held something. It was something special, especially being the inaugural one. Like I don't know, I really like that one. The festival itself I thought was kind of cool. I have started actually seeing a handful of spots across the country, like the continental United States, actually popping up with cryptid festivals over the last couple of years. And I'm not saying it's attributed to MetaZoo, but it's interesting that there's more interest in these cryptids in this folklore at the same time that MetaZoo is actually trying to make this TCG. And like, because this was the first time they ever had the Loveland Festival. So I don't know. It's kind of, I'm interested over the next couple of years, other festivals. Like this year was the first year they had the Squonk Festival, I think, too. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There's at least like 4 or 5 new ones this year.
There's new museums opening up. Just on the recent interview Mike had, he was talking about how between the festivals opening up, new cryptid museums, just an interest in general that's building. Big content creators are starting to make cryptid channels. So regardless of how involved MetaZoo is, whether it's sponsorships or what have you, the country is slowly bringing what is mostly modern cryptids that we have in the U.S. compared to other countries as more of a cultural thing, just like comics and geekdom and anything nerdy to begin with has become common in our culture. Slowly, cryptids are getting brought into as a common thing to talk about and share.
Like more mainstream. Yeah, I remember that part of the interview, and he was actually right. And it's interesting when you think about the history of the U.S., because a lot of the cryptids that we actually would have here in the U.S. were brought over by European explorers or their old Native American tales, things like that. Whereas like you look back and you like look at Europe, for example, or look at even yokai over in Japan now, like the yokai in Japan, they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like there were even, there's supposedly yokai that existed in Japanese court. Like, so it's interesting when the culture is more ingrained around the, I don't want to say supernatural, but I mean, it's almost kind of like what the cryptid world is like the world of the supernatural.
Yeah, for hundreds and thousands of years, other cultures had cryptids that would be told about in oral stories and kept as traditions back when they thought magic and sea dragons and everything existed. So it was a lot more plausible, where now with America's history, we've mostly been in like a modern era where magic and other things are less plausible, less believable or interesting. So they didn't have hundreds of years to stew and get ingrained in their culture. But we do have mass media now where we can share these ideas and interests, and people can learn about them easier. So hopefully that will be a positive to getting people interested and involved.
Yeah, I think the Mothhawk sort of said it in that comment as well. Like, I think the growth within those cryptid groups and demographic is probably where a lot of new people will come from, as opposed to, you know, the TCG community. And look, in my opinion, the TCG community has already had their turn. They've been in and been out. So see you later. Anyway, you know, bring in
the next thing.
Well, I mean, even besides that, though, for sustainable growth, like you're going to want to bring in new fans, and that's the thing, is that there is no real TCG catering towards cryptid fans as in general as a whole. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't even really look at it as like a different demographic, because I mean that is their demographic in essence, is the cryptid community as a whole.
I think it's just different from, you know, TCG enthusiasts.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. Last thing we had for March was the 30th anniversary April Fool's set.
Oh, that was a ripper. I love that. I still haven't finished it.
Great.
It's so good.
I love that it was a play on the dumpster fire of Magic the Gathering's 30th anniversary. Just because like watching that rollout, actually working at the shop and just watching how they were doing their 30th anniversary rollout in Magic the Gathering, it was just a full-on dumpster fire, and it was hilarious to watch. And the fact that MetaZoo picked up on that and were like, we're naming it this, one of my favorite things of the year. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, that joke right there sold me.
Both those April Fool's sets, the Metapoo one and then the 30th anniversary one, it's just brilliant. Imagine it's just great having like a TCG that is known worldwide that's able to take the piss out of itself and then the piss out of, you know, somebody else, like, and just produce like a cool, fun product, right? Like, it's not meant to be, you know, and it was funny with like the pricing. I think even the pricing was like $1,000 per box, which is what the MTG ones were. But then obviously, you know, you get the discount code and they were like $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was good fun. It was good fun, and you know,
I think there's only one playable card in the set too. I think it's the Invisible Ink, right?
Well, there's reprints as well. So we got the farting Gumbaroo, the
alien people or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Lizard people.
Yeah,
lizard people. So there's some fun reprints.
Yeah, the New Year's ones are right as well because it just like counteracts New Year's New Beginnings. That New Year's same.
And Flood the Sky.
Oh yeah, Flood the Sky. I love Flood the Sky.
Yeah, there's some playable cards in there. I think it was just the like the Aura Fact ones that really didn't do anything.
A lot of people were disappointed that they couldn't find some use for them. They're like, it doesn't have to be a staple for decks, but if I could find just an excuse to put one of these funny Aura Fact cards in my deck, then I feel like every card was worth it. But no one could figure out some way to make them worth it. So they're disappointed with those.
It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, I loved ripping that, and I laughed way too hard. You can go back and watch my videos of me opening it. I laughed way too hard. And again, like I said, I was sold immediately as soon as they made the joke against Magic the Gathering. Like I was sold. It
was good fun.
All right, so that is March. 3 months down, gentlemen. Here we go. All right, so for April got a little crazy. We had the release of Native, partial release of Native, I should say.
First wave.
First wave of Native, followed by the Gala, followed by the Earth Tower itself, and then we also had MetaZoo Topps Chrome in there as well, which I think was one of the biggest things of the year.
That was
Chrome,
a big month. Jeez.
Ooh.
I tell you what, I know we'll cover it, but when Topps Chrome dropped, that was like, it must have almost been peak MetaZoo for 2023, in my opinion. Just like the positivity, the amount of ripping packs that was going on. Everybody was having a good time. But now nobody seems to remember that. They've all just
and it was like, I remember the bounties that were actually going on. There was bounties for, I don't even think anybody's pulled the 1-of-1 Mike Waddell for the bounty yet.
As far as I know.
Bailey actually paid out, I think, 2 of the bounties. I know he paid out 1. I think the other one he might have paid out, and the other guy, maybe the guy turned him down. I'm not sure.
I think that ended up going on auction.
Okay. And then I know that Chris actually got his 1-of-1 Lake Worth monster. I'm pretty sure he put out the bounty for that. So it was kind of cool for them. People putting out bounties for different cards.
Chris didn't get it though because the guy that pulled it wanted more.
I thought Chris did get it. Oh,
I'm pretty sure. Last time I'd spoken to him, he hadn't got it yet. He's like, I offered to pay what I said I would, which I think was $1,000 or something, because it's a Lake Worth monster, right? Like,
yeah.
Cross the Pond is the only guy I know that cares about those cards.
100%.
So, you know, but yeah, like that was just a time to be alive, man. Because one, we knew that MetaZoo were like, we'd heard that there was Topps Chrome coming because it was done by Topps. There was no spoilers, no teasers, no this is coming. It literally like went to distros, and then people that had accounts found out, and boom, it just sort of hit and it was so much fun.
The original allocations for it were ridiculous too. Like we were only allocated one box at the LGS that I worked at. Super. Yeah, we were originally only allocated one box, and that was because somebody else had decided they didn't want it. Like it was crazy. Nick actually has a good question. He's like, do you ever think we'll get a Nightfall Topps Chrome Sapphire set? Yes, I do. I can't tell you when. I would say at the earliest, in my opinion, it probably would be late next year, maybe. Probably
I don't
looking
think
at 2025. But
I don't think it'll be Nightfall specific either. I think it'll be a couple of sets, like you said. I think it'll be whatever sets weren't in,
Yeah, no, I can see that. Well,
that had a mix of everything. It had Bigfoots, from Wilderness. It had
lore centric stuff in it too, though. Think of the battles.
Yeah.
So I wonder if actually it could be like maybe Sapphire might be a continuation of that type of stuff.
Yeah. I definitely think that it will happen because Topps are the ones that made it. That they just paid MetaZoo a licensing fee to use it, and Topps made it, and they basically printed money. There's no doubt about it because they cleaned themselves out of it, and it was on us and distros. So I can almost guarantee you that will 100% happen again because Topps are in the business of making money.
Nick actually, he has the one of one Mothman. He said he paid $12K for it. Someone affiliated with MetaZoo offered you $20K for it, but you turned them down. My man.
Ah, nice. So he's got awesome. Which one will he have? He's got the original Mothman art Super Fractal one of one. Then that'll be the one that Nick's got because I think Bailey's got the alternate art one, and then there's meant to be a cryptic cam of the alternate art one. We haven't seen the cryptic cam yet. That hasn't been pulled yet. So, yeah, Nick's got the OG one. So, GG, Nick, because I think that one looks chef's kiss.
I mean, like, just all of it. But, yeah, so Chrome blew me away. I had never cared about Chrome before. And I know we've talked about this now for a minute now, but I had never, like, Pokemon Chrome, things like that, I didn't care about. But I don't know what it was about this, but like there was something about the Chrome. It might have been like the lore, like the lore centric ones, even like there was just something I loved about ripping Chrome, and I could care less about any other TCG when it comes to the Chrome stuff too. But if you put a hobby box in front of me, I'll go through it within 5 minutes.
There's a great combination of there was enough chases in it to hit serialized cards often enough. They're so varied enough that you weren't getting the same hits as everybody else was. You weren't chasing the 8, the 10, the 12 hits that everyone's getting, and there's multiples of them. There was so many serialized, but you didn't know which of the creatures you'd end up getting or how popular they were. There's a lot of collectors who like specific cryptids who will get the rainbow set of one of every serialized card. So regardless of whether it's a popular cryptid or not, there's somebody out there who might pay big money for that unpopular one because that's their favorite. That's the one they've been collecting. And that made it so much more fun to chase and felt so satisfying when you hit anything compared to a traditional core set, as well as having it in retail stores. Barnes & Noble, Target made it a lot easier for people to get access to it if they couldn't through
to a degree, except for the people that would go in there and just grab all the blasters and then bail off to whatnot. But I know what you're saying.
Or if Target would serve you, sell them to you too, until they ban you, like Argos and some others.
Yeah, which we might have to do because he's very late. He's very, very late. But
he got caught working late in the salt mines.
Yeah, it must be. He must be out there with a hose trying to just calm everybody down. But even now, like Topps Chrome, right? I think the prices have come well down. It is whatever it is. But you just open it, and I still just love the look of those cards every time you open those packs. They're just so shiny and clean. It's an enjoyable experience.
I hate making the comparison to Pokemon, but nobody cared about top scroll Pokemon when it first came out. It wasn't until the mid 2010s that it really started kind of going like way up. I mean, some of these, I'm actually kind of surprised that some of these cards are actually maintaining the value that they're maintaining. I mean, green bordered ones you can still sell between 20 and 30 bucks. Gold bordered ones can go between 30 to 50 depending on what it is. And orange bordered is easily going to be 50. Like, I mean, that's still decent money. So I don't know. I just recently had to buy. I recently just bought this Adam Ackler. It's the only reason why I kind of know a little bit about the prices when they come to them.
To be fair, Mothhawk as well, I think in regards to your comment, it's pretty much just in line with everything, bro. Like,
yeah, I know. I hate
Kickstarter
like
boxes.
records,
Kickstarter boxes used to be 10 Gs,
yeah.
and now they're 1,500, right? So it's just where the market is and the world is on a large scale.
Well, I know
it's a good time to pick them up.
I say it, but it's the whole collectible thing to begin with. Like everything, I know, and everybody, people make fun of me, but like everything, I have lost money when it comes to every TCG this year, like across the board, Pokemon, Magic, what have you.
I haven't because I don't sell anything. Just buy. You can't lose money that way. Like if I'm not selling it, I mean, I haven't lost money or made money, right? Like, you know, stuff that I buy for my collection is for my collection. You know.
Everything that I purchase, it's because I plan on playing with it or I plan on needing it for my collection. So obviously, if I get doubles, it's great to sell and get a little money back. But I don't overspend on things that I don't have use for or expect to get a return on.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it too. Like, yeah, you know, but it's everybody's different. That's what I love about, you know, the human race.
Well, I got super lucky because I traded a bunch of Pokemon for native, and I hit so many of the native 19 when it came to the fusions and the tribal 10 and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I traded easily $600 to $700 worth of WotC Pokemon cards for native, just because like I wanted the cards. I wanted native, like the Pokemon.
To be honest with you though, at that point in time, it would have been harder to get those native cards than it would have been to get those WotC Pokemon cards, bro. But it's just there's a lot more obviously.
No, this was wave 2. This was wave 2 back in May when we first got it at Super Galactic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. I was trading cards actually to the shop for boxes to open on the channel, and I was doing it willingly. Like no problem. Like here, like I have all these extras. Just take them.
Thank you.
Which. Talking about native, it kind of goes like hand in hand with the release of native, the gala, and then the tower, because it kind of all happened like that same week and a half almost. Yeah. I remember it
was a crazy week.
It was
crazy.
And from a scientific point of view, I really thought it was kind of interesting how the release of native played out when it came to the Earth Tower. From a player standpoint, I can completely understand though how frustrating it was, because I had opened up some packs from CNO and I had fusions and all sorts of stuff, and he shipped them to me and he overnighted them to me, and they didn't show up for 4 days later after I'd already left to go to New York to actually go to the gala and to compete in the Earth Tower. So John from Immortal Workshop actually brought me 2 booster boxes. I opened them, got a little bit of stuff that I could use, but I had to completely change my plan once I got to New York because I didn't have the fusion auras that I originally needed. So it was, I think Demon Fergus said it really well. Unintentionally, I think Earth Tower really became pay to win. If you had the money to buy the product there on site, because I mean, I know like Dylan was walking around selling REVs left and right, which I'm glad.
Yeah,
I mean, as a partner, I'm glad he was able to just kind of do, and he was getting rid of them, and it was awesome. And I'm glad partners brought product up there. But if you didn't bring the money, it was slightly pay to win. But
yeah.
At the same time, though.
No. There is still at the same time though.
Well, what made Abel Jacoby able to win was a Terra.
Like, yeah, but you should still
shut down Herman was a Terra.
anything competitive, there should be like that 2-week window. It can't be the way that it was, and thankfully none of the others have been.
Yeah.
But just the way that was, because in reality, I'm pretty sure Native wasn't even meant to release like until the day the tower started. But then people had product partners. Some of them had product early, and I think they were just basically were told, no, you know what, you can sell it. Let's get it into people's hands or whatever. And that's sort of how that happened. And it shouldn't have gone that way. But that's not to take away from the tower and the winners, but just as a lesson learned, because we are talking about that at some point. I think next year with the towers, you want to make sure that everybody has equal time to acquire what could and couldn't be used in that event.
Nick actually asked if that's about the time that they announced the Arby's collab. I don't remember, honestly. I kind of stopped paying attention to the whole thing about Arby's, just because I remember a comment that was made towards the end of summer where it was that basically like that was right at the early stages, if I remember, of like somebody had think of it as like literally it was just the initial email that was sent out. Like it was months and months down the line before anything like that would actually come into fruition. And they made an announcement of kind of like we're not going to do that anymore, because I feel like the Ron English thing, because that's on here too. I feel like that was kind of one of those where we had just started talking to these people, and I kind of like the idea of them not teasing that stuff right at the early beginning stages, because I think it does is I think it just detracts like you because you're like, even like, is that even happening anymore? I mean,
yeah, wasn't there one for like Bathing Ape, which is some clothing brand that I've never heard of? But I remember somebody was like, one of the boys down here, he's like, oh, that's Bathing Ape. It's something out of Tokyo or something, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, they were doing a collab because it was some camo thing or whatever. But yeah, I think and the Ron English one's actually interesting that you just mentioned that, because I know somebody, I can't remember who it was chatting on. They saw Ron English not that long ago, and Ron English said that he did a whole set like of artwork for MetaZoo.
Yeah, there's some concept images for it, and the mock-ups for the packaging was also teased. And from what I can tell online, that set hasn't been announced or shown yet. So my assumption is either Ron isn't ready to put out the set yet, or Classic MetaZoo putting a promo card with everything. MetaZoo's been 6+ months behind on all their printing, so I could easily see that not coming out until they're completely caught up on all their pre-order stuff. So just like Arby's
could
too,
be the case.
Arby's could be held up by the fact that all the printing seemed to come to a full stop for the Kurumi set. And even if Arby's was ready in the fall to do it, MetaZoo may not have had the resources to give them.
It could be something as well. I mean, I know that we've seen a couple of cards, and I'm just looking at it now, and the artist names are redacted, but SCP is something that's coming out. I don't know if, maybe he did some artwork in that. Maybe he didn't. Don't know. But what I was told is that the guy that spoke to Ron basically said, yeah, I've drawn heaps. He's like, I did heaps for MetaZoo. He's like, because he just mentioned MetaZoo. He's like, yeah, I know MetaZoo. I drew like a bunch of full like sets worth of artwork. And so it's probably, like you said, Shane, it's probably something that MetaZoo has anyway.
It'd be a cool guest artist.
It's something that obviously they're going to print at some point. But yeah, 2023 has been the year of, trying to catch up. Like they tripped over the first 2 hurdles in like one of those races, and then they're like, trying to, catch up and get over the other ones. And that's what I think Mike's letter did well, said we're going to do that before we do anything else.
Yeah, they said they're going to get caught up on everything before they actually put anything else up for order.
Yeah, I think they should stop. And I think Andy might have said that they were going to, or Mike, somebody did, teasing stuff anyway, because it's never really done anything positive. It's if you look at it, most of the time, the teasers of these potential collabs have probably caused more drama or more negative talking points than positive talking points. If you know you're doing something great as a business, just do it and then release it, and it'll be received and appreciated. You don't need to create the hype for something that's not there, especially when you're a young business and it is taking you longer than you had hoped to be able to produce the products. Just stop doing it. Get them made and get them out, and it'll be more of a success anyway. Like Topps Chrome is the prime example. No teasers, no talking, drop the bomb, boom, see you later. And it went like a rocket ship.
I do want to talk about, since we're still talking about April, I do actually want to talk about the gala for a minute. The gala originally in my head, I thought it was actually, I know Demon Fergus talked about this too, and it's kind of seems like being the running joke. So we thought it was going to be more like sit down. Actually, they were talking about an auction, things like that. I thoroughly had a blast, though, even though it was a nightclub style. I even went live on Instagram with Dean at one point, and even though he couldn't do anything, like he couldn't see anything because it was breaking up, like I took him all the way around, showed him all the different artwork and stuff. You get to see the original artwork from the secret rares from Native, which was really, really cool. And I kind of geeked out a little bit because I actually saw the inner workings of eBay Live, because I was like hovering over the guy's shoulder as he was running the show, and like it was kind of cool. Plus, I actually got to bring my wife there, so my wife got to meet a bunch of people from the community, everything like that. We got to spend the weekend in New York. So I had a blast at the gala. I had a blast at Earth Tower. And the other crazy thing too is that I was trying to do the basic math. There were, I think, 1,000 of those gala boxes that were actually supposedly either given out or sold. If you take half of those, I think they were going for like $100 or so is how much they cost. I can't remember. I think the gala boxes were 100.
Yes.
If you take that and you have 500 of them, that's $50,000. So that money from those gala boxes, they donated with the MetaZoo education, or sorry, the MetaZoo Foundation. They donated to the Hopi Educational Foundation. So like that's something huge that like I haven't heard a lot of people in the community talking about, is like that type of donation that they actually were able to make from the actual Native gala. I mean, it's the same stuff like what Dean and his guys down in Australia do. With all of your donations and all of the everything that you actually do for Beyond Blue. Yeah.
There's so many positives in that aspect that obviously just fall to the wayside, which is disappointing. But the right people appreciate it at the right time. Like we've raised over $10,000 just through breaks and like just events and streaming events and towers and stuff that we've run down here. And that is actual like difference, especially like a company like Beyond Blue down here in Australia is really big around mental health. And the last 2 years have been the hardest 2 years for them since COVID, just in terms of donations. So for us to be able to raise like 10 grand and help them out through our community, which is only MetaZoo community, is, that's the stuff that I wish people would talk about. But, here we are talking about streamer kits.
I knew you were going to go to streamer kits.
Yeah, the gala
it's just
boxes,
a meme, bro.
The gala boxes, MetaZoo could have leaned into the fact that the money was going towards donations just a little bit more, because I found myself constantly having to explain to people when they were shocked at the price or whatever, saying, hey, by the way, this is for a fundraiser. It's a fundraiser thing. And they're like, oh, okay, makes sense now. So there wasn't enough communication and people knowing that it was going on through the gala boxes to be as potentially as big as it could have been. Though even just the promo, the Tessie Thanksgiving promo the year prior, I was happy to get a cool promo. I've played with it before, and they were able to have donations. So I definitely think the more they can do it, even if it's just a single promo, the more positive they can come from it.
Yeah. And I would hope that the community then also recognizes those things. I think that's the main thing Rob and I are trying to point out right now, is the lack of recognition for that stuff. Everybody's happy to jump on the shit bandwagon really fast, but then just walk past or glance over those super positive things that not only MetaZoo do, but some of the communities that are involved with MetaZoo do as well. And even like what Bailey just did for Christmas for Whatnot. He runs like a big stream for some charity foundation over there that gives toys to the kids. I jumped on his stream and bought a heap of stuff. Like, that's positive as well in dark times. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good things. And I just wish more people would choose to talk about that than just the bad stuff.
Well said. That pretty much sums up April. April was a super busy month for it not being actually summer.
It was a big month.
May is the first time that we actually run into one of the towers actually being canceled. And we can sit here and speculate all day long on why. Mike's already admitted that they were shooting for the moon and pretty much fell short when it comes to the towers and how many they had planned for the actual year. I think 4 is honestly a good number. It'd be nice once the player base actually gets bigger to actually add more to that. Saying that as well too, and this is actually after talking to a handful of teams, players, and owners and stuff like that. The prize pool for the player base right now for MetaZoo does not need to be as high as it is. And I know that's an unpopular opinion when it comes to some people.
Of course it is.
But it does not need to be as high as it is.
You cut it in half, you still get the same people, the same players showing up. I swear to God, it won't change.
Well, we can talk about this later. Like, I would love the idea of them actually holding some sort of pseudo tower, maybe per se, at each of the Collecticons, especially since the Collecticon circuit is actually getting bigger in 2024. That would be kind of cool. They don't have to offer the $50,000 or $20,000 to first place, things like that. You would still get competitive players coming out to these events for those things.
$50 entry, 10 grand cash prize to win. You're still going to have the same amount of people show up.
I mean, supplement some of it actually with product as well too. And I mean, you'd have a very healthy competitive scene. Doing 8 towers in 1 year is very ambitious, and I applaud MetaZoo for trying. But I also, from running big events before myself, not TCG events, but like running like big galas and like weddings and theaters and stuff like that, I get the logistics behind each of these towers, and it is crazy the logistics that actually go behind some of these projects. And like that's probably why Forest was the first one that was canceled, because it was in Rhinelander. And Rhinelander is a smaller area, and at the end of the day, they could have still done it there, but everyone would have been paying crazy money in order to go to this small town during this big festival.
We also just talked about how big April was for MetaZoo. So that's probably why in May the tower was cancelled, because April was so big. They did so much. There was so much going on. It's probably a really hard act to follow. I think the ideal setup for towers would be 5 in-person towers plus a caster cup. So basically you're doing an in-person event every 2 months. And somewhere in the middle, you just run one on Cryptic Clash for everybody, because like us down here in Australia, I mean, I know I went to Casters Cup last year, but it's not a cheap trip. So you allow us to get involved via the online client, which of course they're going to want to bring into it one way or another anyway. But that's probably I'm not saying that's what they should do next year, but I think that would be the sweet spot in the future, because then what you do, you've got 10 aura types. So you do 5 in 2024 and a Casters Cup. Then the next year you do the other 5 in 2025 in the Casters Cup. So it's chopping and changing anyway. It's not going to be the same circuit every year. You're covering every base, and you give yourself 8 weeks between each event to be able to put it where it needs to be and make it happen. I think that's the sweet spot.
I actually honestly like and this I'm not saying anything about Casters Cup 2023. I honestly really like the idea of holding Casters Cup at the end of January, maybe mid-February. Like, it doesn't have to be like a November, December, October type thing either too. I understand that they're trying to figure out exactly what they're doing with Casters Cup 2023. I mean, I'm kind of as much as it sucks that it was postponed, I do appreciate them not forcing it to happen at New York Comic Con, because I understand the exposure that they would have gotten. It would have been huge, but it would also have priced out the vast majority of the community. And competitive, from the letter that Mike actually wrote, it seems like the competitive aspect of MetaZoo is something that they want to focus on in conjunction with working with the LGSs to actually boost local play at these LGSs themselves. And at the end of the day, that's really, I mean, that's all they can do. And then once the player base actually builds itself back up, and surpasses where it was before, and you can have 1,000, 2,000 people at a Casters Cup, that's when they actually, in my opinion, after talking with, like, again, different partners and stuff like that, that's when you actually offer up the prize pool, because it was supposed to culminate pretty much to that. And I think some of the towers being postponed, some of the towers being changed and stuff like that, I don't think we had, as they were anticipating 8 instances to get people in to actually start playing. And then when you only have 4 and then they're dispersed like they were, because again, it was a whole learning aspect of trying to put together an event like that. Like, you only have the 4. So like, I saw a vast improvement from water to dark, like night and day. And I can't stress that enough, actually, just from a logistics point of view, looking at the actual tower, how it operated from the gameplay to side events to everything. Huge difference between water and dark.
Yeah, they tried.
I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'll stop talking.
They tried to create a competitive scene by creating really big payouts and kind of pressuring LGSs to have play events, opposed to supporting LGSs, helping them put on play events, and then after a competitive scene was created, rewarding the competitive scene that exists. So they definitely took 2 steps forward while everyone was working on the first step. And
see, I would disagree though, because like I don't feel like when they actually made the requirement that you had to compete at an LGS event, a brick and mortar store for qualification, I honestly thought that was them trying to actually help LGS play. Because like, we're the only, like, for example, Super Galactic, we're the only store within like a 50-60 mile radius or so, and we held a qualifier here on the beach. Granted, we only had 4 or 5 people, but we held a qualifier because we were the only ones within like a 60-75 mile radius that was holding any sort of a qualifier like that whatsoever.
Yeah, it helped LGSs have 1 or 2 qualifiers, but it didn't help the LGSs have weekly participation like continual LGS kits would. So as nice as it was to kind of get people looking for someplace to qualify, what MetaZoo needed to do first was get a location that people, when they get into MetaZoo and say, hey, is anyone playing in my area? That there's already a scene going, that there's already constant stuff. But just waiting for the next qualifier, like I had some people locally who went to Water and Earth, but they were looking to do their qualifier, not show up every week, because there wasn't enough incentive for them to come the distance they were, the 45, 50 minutes weekly. And with LGS kit prize support, the LGS is being more excited to carry and have a community that can make the friction less for people to play MetaZoo compared to something else even closer to where they live.
I mean, see, I don't know, because they've already done a couple different iterations of the LGS kit, where, I mean, like the one that they actually sent us at Super, it had countless REBs, it had booster boxes, it had like blisters, it had a ton of stuff that we could have used for prize support and stuff like that. I don't know if that was like a partner specific thing, but that was it came to us completely separate than from any of like the partner stuff that we actually got. So that there has to be. I could see how MetaZoo could try to help support more LGS play, but saying that, I honestly I've seen, like, you can talk to Mikey. He's here in the comments. Like, I've seen it's more you have to put in the effort in order to actually build it. I mean, if you aren't trying to run events, if you aren't trying to build that community, the community's not going to build itself. You have to literally build that community. I mean, talk to Dean. Dean built the community where he is, pretty much, in essence.
Yeah, not saying that giving out LGS kits will automatically have people show up and be a community just because there's free product, but just there hasn't been any additional support for LGS, so they feel like they're being ignored. Obviously, their incentive is to make money, but a lot of people don't feel comfortable creating their own community unless the LGS owner is interested in it too. They're like, oh, they turned me away. They said they wouldn't. Obviously, we need to champion our own LGSs, but it'll take some friction off. And Mike even said in his newsletter that their plan is to grow play back up from the LGS and work it on up again, rather than just assuming that big money prizes will get people to show up. So it's definitely a combination. I'm not saying that LGS kits will fix in-person play. Just saying it's a piece to the puzzle that has been missing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I've watched, over the last couple of months, I've watched Sorcery come to Australia. I've watched a particular LGS absolutely pump it, build a play network, watch people travel from interstate to come to these events based on the price support, the knowledge of that person running that community of like you put in the hours and the minutes and have the backing from the game itself, then people will come. It's how we built MetaZoo Nation Australia down here, off the back of nothing, literally nothing. Started that group when Nightfall dropped here in February. We got it in February, Nightfall. And it was released in like November.
Yeah.
Because they used to put it on ships to send it down here.
I remember that.
Like it takes that. That's where it needs to go back to. And Mike's obviously addressed that. I think it's going to be harder the second time round because you had that shot and there was a lot of sort of unhappy people, I guess. But if you do the right things and it's going to bring in the right people, and if you're an actual business owner and not just an ego-driven store owner, then you will carry the product and you will push the events because it's profitable if it's done the right way. And that's what they are at the end of the day. They're a shop. It can be done. I've seen it done. I've done it. I've seen others do it with other games. But that is where it needs to happen, though. I've watched it with Sorcery. I've watched Sorcery grow because of what this one LGS is doing and putting in and pushing and bringing people in. Like that is the way that it needs to happen. Because I that same LGS, I go in there and there's 50 people in there playing Magic or Flesh and Blood or Pokemon or Digimon. So like you can't say that people don't want to go to the LGS and play games, because I see them doing that with every other game under the sun.
I'm interested to actually see what the tournament aspect is going to be in 2024. Like I said, I'm kind of hoping that it's kept more to the collecticons. Again, it doesn't have to be the towers format. Let's build the community back up. Let's build the player base back up. Let's actually get it to where it's worth them spending that type of money actually for a player base, like you were saying. Going into May, so like we were saying, that was the first tower that was pretty much canceled. They had the Dallas Collecticon, and I can't remember, but wasn't Dallas the first Sam promo besides the Gala one? Or did they actually have a Sam promo?
It would be. No, it would be, because it was that Sam Sinclair was like the second or the third Sam that they'd ever done. So I think there was the OG Sam, and then the Hero Quest 1 Sam, and then the Gala Sam came out, and we're like, ooh, and then it must have been Dallas, must have been the first one.
the Collecticon circuit promos for last year were all Sam focused. But I think that was Dallas was the first one.
Last year was those Cumberland Dragons and those eggs.
No. The year before, 2022 was Cumberland Dragon. 2023 was all Sam.
We're still in 2023, bro. You can't say last year. It's this year.
Okay, well, you know what I mean.
Well, no, I don't.
Okay, no, apparently
now I do.
All right, so the Collecticon promos for 2023 were all Sam focused. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the first one showed up at Dallas Fort Worth Collecticon.
I feel like you are correct.
I think it's the one with him at the baseball field where he actually has the bat and you can see a little Mothman up in the sun. Super, super cool in my opinion. I love the fact that Sam was the focus of all the Collecticon promos, because it kind of led up to the manga, which we'll get to the manga later. Next thing that actually happened that month was we actually got the NFT boxes, the NFT PFP card boxes. And
question: when were those released? Because I didn't buy any. I bought them just secondary. It wasn't something that interested me at the time. Were those like up for purchase in 2022?
2022.
When did they actually go on sale? In December. Okay, cool.
Yeah, in December.
What's that? 5 months. It's not too bad.
Which we knew it was going to be a minute to get those because they had even explained like 7 different hollow patterns. Like it was very intricate, like detailed things. So like we knew they were going to take a while. I love the NFT set. You have a box you don't want to let me know because I want it. I don't know what it is about it, but I love looking at all of the different elements that Jet created for the PFPs, for the original PFPs. Yeah, that's honestly probably one of my favorite sets, and I know it's a really odd set, but it's one of my favorite sets I've honestly ever opened. I love the different hollow patterns on it. I love that there were serialized chase cards. And then that's also how you got the code for PFP 2.0. Each one of the boxes had a box stopper. So you had to do that in order to get the NFTs. But we couldn't redeem them, though, in May. Like, they wouldn't let us redeem them. But, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? What did you guys think of the NFT? You said you didn't get any, Dean. Did you get any, Shane?
I didn't get any after they were out, like later in the year. I bought myself an empty box. I've been buying the coins. So I've been buying pieces of them. I just wasn't worried about cracking them open, sealed, and getting them right away. I just took my time and got some stuff later. I got my PFP that I own in a card form. So that was awesome to find. Stuff like that. So definitely enjoyed the product, but wasn't worried about getting it right away.
No, I did get boxes. I just bought them secondary when they dropped.
Okay.
I didn't pre-order them. I don't have an NFT. I have 2 of those new PFP things now because I redeemed them. But yeah, that market, the old crypto NFT market, is one that I keep my fingers out of anyway.
Oh.
I believe in other stocks and investments, mate. So,
well, I can't find it.
But I didn't bother.
Oh, it's right here. Yes, I did get at least the old PFP. I've been using the Akanto Dragon now, but I did actually get that, which was pretty awesome because it was
cool though. It was a cool set. Like it was a fun opening experience. It was something totally different. Again, like felt kind of like the Topps Chrome drop. Like it was cool cards, something we hadn't seen before, something a little different. But yeah. It was good. Again, when they did drop, it was a well-received product. I'd say 9 times out of 10 when MetaZoo actually drops something the first couple of days or weeks or months, it is well-received because it's absolute quality. It's just about getting the supply-demand numbers correct from a value aspect, which doesn't really interest me anyway. I know other people are in it for that reason. But that's where that issue lies. Is a purely supply and demand, knowing your market and how much you should and shouldn't make. But again, in 10 years we could be glad that they made extra because it means there's still some around. You know,
That's fair.
it's like when Pokemon printed WotC in 1999. The fact that there's still sealed cases, right, of 1999 base set booster boxes, right? They weren't double the money or triple the money like 2 or 3 years later. It took 20 years to get there, right? Like, you know, so it's not necessarily a bad thing that there might be an oversupply right now. It's just you can't double your money right now. Sorry, flippers, you can't do it.
That same month we also got the Golden Bear, which
what was that? Is that plushie?
That
the plushie?
Is the plushie, and
I missed those. I want one of those
somewhere. Where'd it go? I don't know. I have one somewhere because, ironically enough, I actually won it from a giveaway that Claire, the Rusty Ranger, did. And it was like the one I couldn't get, and then I won it actually in a giveaway. It was like, sweet. I can't remember if it came with a card or not though, but I think it was just the play.
I don't feel like I saw any affluent Golden Bear promo, as cool as that would kind of be. Imagine an angry Golden Bear that looks like Nanook, but it's like losing its mind. Like, that'd be sick.
Well, that's just a pig.
I think between the Sam promo and some native spoiler packs that were still floating around.
Here it is.
That was the focus for the promos.
Golden Bear.
It's cool, man. I like it. I need one. If anybody has one, hit me up.
And then I think May is also when UFO and Seance Revive actually landed. Which I only opened, I think, one UFO and one Seance board. I think I got the Grays, and then the Seance one I think was awful.
They were fun, man. They were really fun. The Seance ones were really, really fun. UFO was fun as well, but I was chasing a Men in Black that no one ever pulled. So, you know, it's a tough one.
Well, I always looked at the Revive boards because, like, I'm not a big skateboard dude. I always looked at the Revive boards as kind of like a gamble because I'd love to get a Revive Possessed Orb. I mean, but I would use it. I don't know if I would redeem it, but I would use it. Like, just because I know when I played it down, people would cringe. But most of the cards.
That's a good way to be.
I hard shuffle everything just because it makes it honestly at tables it will upset people if you hard shuffle stuff. Like especially when you pull out like a signed like Prism Aura or something, signed and sketched Prism Aura, and they're like, and I'm like, yep. So I don't know. I think I got one board from CNO at TCG Island, and then I think I got the other one from Josh at IHC. But I don't know. I'm not a big skateboarder though. Like, I have the Cumberland Dragon board, which is awesome because CNO actually sent that and gave that to me. Huge shout out. But I love Cumberland Dragon, but huge shout out to him. But yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen. I don't think the Men in Black ever was pulled, was it?
Yeah, I think there might have been a couple UFO boards that no one saw.
Well, not all of them have been open either, too. And for all we know, they might have only made like 10 or something like that. Like it. Yeah,
it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't. So
I've always given them the benefit of the doubt that it exists, but yeah, it's got to be like a super short print, and you know, they're just sitting somewhere. I think they were still for sale even on the Black Friday sales. So obviously, there's if MetaZoo have it on their website, that's why I look at it. If MetaZoo have it on their actual marketplace, then you can safely assume that, you know, there's not just going to be one or two sitting there. There'll be like boxes or pallets.
Well, there were people who actually were still buying Dinmock shirts, and a couple of them actually still pulled Fresno Nightcrawlers.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, you got to realize is that there's still 4 UFO secret rares we haven't seen. Like, there's still so many random pulls and all of the sets that we haven't seen. I still swear that there's a redeemable in Seance for Solomon's Ring. We just more product needs to be opened. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
I do what I can, but there's only so much these little hands can rip down here.
I feel that, man. I feel that. So that brings us to June, and the only thing really that went on in June, because they actually postponed Flame and did that in July, Flame Tower, was the fan art contest for 2023. I would like to actually theorize that this is probably about the time that everything with Sanrio was probably agreed upon. That's one of the reasons why this probably isn't that much that actually went on this month. Because from this point forward, pretty much, Kuromi's Cryptid Carnival pushes the majority of everything that was on the original timeline down. I personally, this is just me thinking, I think they were given a once in a lifetime chance to actually do it, like do a collaboration with Kuromi, and they took it, like you should. I still feel like it was a good choice, because I have actually seen an uptick in more people into the community post Kuromi's release. We'll get to that and talk actually about all of that in the TCG player collector bundle and all that stuff once we get closer to Kuromi. But I think June is when a lot of this, everything pretty much was trying to be figured out when it came to the Kuromi's Cryptid Carnival, because directly into July, you have the MetaZoo Sanrio or Hello Kitty collaboration at SDCC, and then you have the announcement of Legacy, talking about how War was going to be pushed back. I don't know. I probably know maybe 10% of everything that actually went on. Nobody actually honestly really knows any idea of what conversations or what decisions were made or whatever that focused more on the Kuromi versus like Legacy War, stuff like that. Again, I still think it was a good choice just because of the number of people who actually are exposed to the MetaZoo brand now because of Sanrio. It's the second highest IP. Again, we'll talk about the collector box prices and stuff like that later.
Yeah, based on the fact that they knew at that point that they weren't going to be able to get War done in time or printed, so they decided, okay, it'll take less time to get Legacy out as a replacement. But even then, they underestimated the turnaround time on the Kurumi set, so they weren't able to get Legacy to print either. So it ended up just putting a full stop on everything until they were able to get it fully complete. And even then, they couldn't hit the timeline they wanted for Kurumi. So it seems like half of the year just ended up getting put on pause as far as production while they got it taken care of. And part of why they probably did it when they had the opportunity was the big Sanrio push this October. That all these stores, Target, Hot Topic, Sanrio did a giant push in North America this fall with
that
all sorts of product and
because I noticed it everywhere.
That's what it seemed like.
Okay.
So with the big push, MetaZoo hopped on the bandwagon to get the license, but the turnaround time just wasn't there, and they couldn't get it done when they thought they were going to.
Well, and I don't know if this is the case or whatnot either, but I don't feel that MetaZoo proper had the amount of control over Kuromi, at least production-wise, like it normally would with another set. I think a lot of what was dictated from Sanrio, and MetaZoo had to adjust to what it was being told by Sanrio.
I can imagine there's a lot more restrictions because a lot of Kuromi merch is just Sanrio provided images that companies put on products, and that's it. They don't
and that might be one
get
of the
a whole
bunch
of creative expression. Two, there's a chance that Sanrio had to approve of everything, that no matter what MetaZoo made, they had to go through an approval process, maybe even the wording or tax on cards. Sanrio had approved before they could go to print. So who knows if that is the case and part of the reason why it took so long.
And that actually might be one of the reasons why in the letter to the community, Mike actually mentions that if they do a collaboration with another, like an IP or something like that, that IP is then going to be the one that takes the responsibilities for producing the product and the things like that.
Which
like it will be
is
up to
what they
their
did
par.
with Topps Chrome. That's
Yes,
what they did
it
with
will be up to
Topps.
their like MetaZoo standard, but they're going to be the ones that actually do all of the logistics for that, which is brilliant. Because
it also means that MetaZoo will make less money, but it gives them more time and less responsibility to continue to do other things around their own IP and manga. And I think it's a good business decision, like with Topps. Like, all right, pay us this much for the license, go build that, go make that. Sweet. Well, we're happy, blah, blah, blah. And then internally, because they're not a big business with the amount of staff they've actually got, they can just keep the cogs turning and keep the business going in the right direction. I think that was probably one of the things that excited me the most in terms of collaborations, because I think all the collabs that they've done are great. I just think the way that they were done was incorrect, which is why we've seen so many delays.
Well, I love the idea that Mike was talking about the focus on gameplay, specifically LGS gameplay, along with core set, along with the IP. Like those three focuses for a full solid year, like come back December 28th, 2024, and this is going to be a completely different conversation than what we're having right now.
Yeah.
Just like I love, well, first off, me because of the lore, I love the focus on the IP, and with the actual manga. I know I keep seeing some comments talking about like an actual anime. With the manga, they'll actually be able to translate that into actual animated shorts. Talking about the animated shorts, they were originally on the timeline, the roadmap MetaZoo produced for July. Now, I haven't really seen that many people complaining about not getting the shorts. I know some people were upset, but when you think about why we don't have the shorts, it kind of makes sense, because a lot of people don't remember the writer strike, or they weren't paying attention to the writers and the actor strikes and everything like that was going on in Hollywood. And that's might be part of the reason why we don't have MetaZoo animated shorts, is because that entire industry was pretty much at a standstill for months. And that's also about the same time that Mike made the decision to transition from the book release to the manga release, because he actually even had a MetaZoo hour at one point talking about it, like a lore-centric MetaZoo hour, and was actually asking our opinions about, should it be a book, should it be a manga, what? And we kind of collectively landed on it being a manga because of, again, the ease of transition from manga to the anime, to the show, where it's harder to do that with a book, really, in essence. So that is two things I did want to point out about July, because we were supposed to get book one and we were supposed to get the animated shorts, but in my opinion, it makes sense why we didn't get the shorts, because everybody was on strike. And they refocused on the manga, because I think that's about the same time or a month before they hired Rock. I can't remember when they hired Rock.
I feel like it was around SDCC.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I feel like it was. And in terms of some of the comments around collabs, I don't think we should see any collabs, regardless of the market right now. I think the collabs have brought certain aspects to MetaZoo over the 3 years that it's been there, but I don't think any of them in real like perpetuity actually added to what the brand is and its growth. And I'm not referring to Kuromi, because I don't look as Kuromi as a collab. I think that is more of MetaZoo borrowing, or MetaZoo made it, right, and worked with their IP. I'm talking about things like Revive and, the stuff with Hot Toys and things with like Pin Club and all that sort of stuff.
My guy, I will fight you on that.
Well, I mean, come down to Australia, man. I'll left, right you good night. Don't worry about that. But
I think if we,
I don't think it adds to it. I really don't think the collabs. I think the collabs are fun, and I think some of them are cool, and I've enjoyed it. But I think for a business where it is, and Mike even basically said it in the letter that he put out, that I wouldn't say the way that he said it was like, oh yeah, we made a mistake, but you could read it in the way they're going, on reflection, these probably weren't the right things we should be doing, because we should be doing this, because in turn, that is going to actually project the brand forward and be able to produce the correct product to ensure growth in the right direction, instead of dropping all these little collabs here, there, and everywhere. And even if other people take care of it, it's still eating into the wallet of your market that really should be going, nah, I want to spend that $30 to go to that LGS, to play in that little tournament or that little qualifier. That's where you want your players to go. I mean, look at Magic even now with all the collabs and shit they're doing, and they're dropping like a set every 2 or 3 months. And their players are like, and it's been around for 30 years, their players are like, what the hell? Like, you can't keep up. Like, you don't know what to do. Sometimes less, well, not sometimes, 90% of the time, less is more.
I think collabs going into next year should be licensed things. So if we get pins again, if we get skateboards, let it be a licensed thing that some other company's taking the risk, is giving MetaZoo the money up front if they want to make a product. They're responsible for all the shipping and everything. So there's no logistics that MetaZoo has to spend for it. And yeah, it'll bring more people into potentially the MetaZoo community and looking at other products, but it'll be completely, hopefully, hands off from MetaZoo. I think it was a really big burden for MetaZoo to include cards and everything, because MetaZoo was responsible for getting those cards made, the art, printed out to that company, get it all packaged up. So MetaZoo spent more time potentially making cards for collabs than the core sets that are the root of the game. So if MetaZoo can just focus on core sets and doing them the best they can, let other companies worry about being a collaborator, have them pay the money up front and figure out logistics. So I'd like to see collabs happen. I just don't want to see MetaZoo promo cards in it that slows down and hurts MetaZoo in the long run. Or in the short.
I don't even really think it was the collabs. I think that's like the core sets didn't really seem to actually slow down, like to be delayed or anything like that, unless you want to count the first wave, second wave of native because of the shipping stuff. It's the collabs, it's all the collaborations that actually seem to they just actually stop everything up. And it's
that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
And that's what Mike said that they're going to do. I mean, look, the reality is you've got to this point doing a bunch of things, and now we're at this point. So Mike's turned around and written a letter and said, you know what, well, next year, then we're going to do it this way. And as a business, that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to pivot and see how you go. You got to swallow your pride or swallow this or whatever, and just pivot, do something differently to try and achieve that result. Because the game, the brand, the art, the cards, it's all great, right? Nobody opens up something and goes, this is poop, right? It's all the issues are around, receiving product or rollout of product or delays, and it's
manufacturing and logistics.
Well, I mean, at the same time, too, I feel like they've actually proven this now with Disclosure 1.0 and 2.0. Like, you can have little small mini subsets like that are filler, that are part of the larger set or so, too, and they don't have to be a collaboration. That can literally just be a subset that MetaZoo themselves actually do. Because the Disclosure stuff actually has been on time, and that's all been in-house and stuff like that they've actually made. So, I don't know. I'm interested. I hope they don't give up completely on collaborations, but I do like the direction, like you guys were saying and Mike said in the letter. I do like the direction that they're heading, where a lot of it is taken off of their plate and it's on the person that wants to do the collaboration or whatnot to actually figure out a lot of the logistics for it. Because the next thing I have on here actually is just it's just a picture of San Diego Comic-Con. And it kind of goes with what we were talking about, because like they shut down SDCC almost because of the line that cut through the entirety of the show floor.
Yeah, shut down MetaZoo's booth and cleared everyone out of the area.
And they had to bring everybody to a stairwell, and they gave them cards or something, wristbands, to be able to go up and actually get promos at certain times and such, just because of the demand. So I mean, that shows there is demand for MetaZoo product. There is demand actually for, like, again, Sanrio MetaZoo stuff.
I'll just say something based on the comments as well, that subsets and collabs are two different things. Subsets like 30th, the April Fools, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about other companies that they're working with MetaZoo hand in hand to create a product that is obviously delayed. Like Revive is the easiest one to look at. So everybody forgot about Wilderness Revive, because now we're on the native streamer kits. Like, it's those collabs that I'm saying.
Well, no, I'm talking about actually those collabs. I'm talking about those collabs actually can be parts of mini sets themselves. They don't need to partner with M2P2. They can actually release those cards as a mini set.
As a mini set instead of as a you scratch this and you get a skateboard or
no, I'm not saying anything ill about any of their partners or the collaborators that they've done so with, but that's all product that they can actually just release themselves. I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
All right.
Next.
So July, we also got the version 1 promo packs, which I never got any of them.
I believe they were at least announced as a thing in July. Can't remember what date they actually got shipped out. The first wave of them.
That's also when they released the van promos for the
Hits the Road. Road.
MetaZoo Hits the Road promos. Correct too. They did that in July, right? I think so.
Don't ask me, bro. I live on the other side of the planet.
Oh my God, stop. And then they had Flame Tower at Kansas City, which that was the one tower I couldn't go to. Flame looked like crazy. Like everybody I've talked to said the majority of Flame Tower was based off of just RNG. It was, what did you roll for your flame or for your burn tokens?
Which is fair enough.
It sounds like it would have been a blast, but it also sounds like I would have lost hardcore first day because of RNG. The RNG guys
maybe not.
Hate me.
Maybe if you got lucky.
They hate me. They hate me.
I just want to pat you on the back too for making it 3 out of 4 towers. Just as a MetaZoo content creator and someone in the community, that's a good effort, man.
I'm pretty sure Demon Fergus made it to all 4. I think he might. Harley, I think, did too. They might be the only 2 that actually made it to all 4. A bunch of us made it to 3. Some of us made it to 2. But yeah, it was. There was no way I could actually get to Texas in the middle of July. There was tourist season here on the beach. There was just no way. So that's all of July. Legacy. We haven't talked about Legacy. Legacy went on pre-order. That was when they announced that War was being pushed back. That was when they announced that SCP was being pushed back. That's pretty much when Legacy was announced. That's when pretty much everything was pushed down the line. Legacy was billed as a set to refocus on Cryptid Nation, the beasties that we all fell in love with originally with Cryptid Nation, things like that. But to focus on the lore, basically the beasties that were incorporated into the story. We were supposed to get cards that they weren't able to use in the other sets because every set has X number of cards that they can't add into it because of set size or whatever like that. So they were supposed to be, some of these were supposed to be those in there as well. New artwork for some cards as well, maybe reprints or new mechanics. They haven't really given us much information about Legacy. We do know that, because I actually saw a picture of it today. They had teased us with the idea of it having a reverse hollow pattern, very similar to like a reverse hollow from Pokemon.
I always basically refer to Legacy being like Legendary Collection.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's been billed almost. But it's the
vibe that you've got and that you think it's going to be. I think it'll be great.
Well, it's a refocus on the lore before we hit War. That rhymes. Yeah, it might be the first time that we actually. I think it's actually been confirmed. I can't remember that we might actually get like Sam's Ding Bell or like Rose's Hodag, like kind of just like Gym Challenge.
Yeah, maybe.
He did mention there'll be some cards that will be featured in more eventually in the set. As well as just to mention that the product themselves are premium spell books. They're a little more expensive, but there'll be multiple variants, possibly like focused on different aura types. So you don't know which spell book you're going to end up getting with what kind of unique dice or whatever will be in it that other ones won't have, as well as the plethora of blisters. I think there's like one per set, including a partner-specific one. So it'll be interesting to see a new spin on the products that we're used to.
Well, because it isn't actually a core set either. It only comes in spellbook or blister. There is no actual booster box for it, which is the first time that they've actually kind of released, honestly, I feel like something like this. Originally, it was slated, I believe, for early to mid-September. And then it was pushed back, I believe, after Kuromi's Cryptid Carnival's full release. In my opinion, I feel like it's going to hit that time slot that Cryptid Nation 2 did back in 2022, middle to late January, because that would still give us enough time before War, which should be slated for roughly April, I want to say. And again, this is all just speculation. But I honestly, because I mean, Andy's hinted around a couple times that Legacy is ready to ship. Or not ready to ship, but it's like there in essence.
Even Distro has taken allocation for it and is planning on logistically who they're sending and how much they're sending out to people.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we get Legacy sometime with like middle to late January. And again, I have that feeling, and it fits with that Legacy coming out end of January, War coming out in April-ish, maybe late April, Seven Seas coming out during the summer, and then Yokai coming out next fall. Like it flows. It's very feng shui, if that's the word. But yeah, so I don't know. I know a lot of people rag on Legacy because of the reprints or whatever. I'm stoked about it because I love the idea of the refocus on MetaZoo lore proper before we get into War, because War is the first lore-centric set ever, according to Mike. Oh God. Okay, so that's July. Anybody else have anything they want to add about July? Halfway through.
Well, hey, as we know, anyway, less happens between July and now, so it shouldn't take another hour and a half to cover off the second part of the year.
Hey, Babaluga, Legacy is pretty much a retelling of specific, from what we know, what we think, specific moments, characters, beasties, casters from Cryptid Nation all the way through Native. Actually including War, because there's some actually War spoilers in Legacy as well. In my opinion, I think it's a refocusing on specific core elements, core characters before we actually get into War, because War is going to be the first lore-centric set that we actually get. Whew. All right, so jump into August. Woo! First thing in August. Some of the art might be reprinted. They also said it could be new art. It's also might be some beasties that didn't make it into other sets and such. Like we don't really fully know.
It's all speculation.
Everything is speculation. It's all speculation. So jumping into August, the first thing we actually have, and I know again people are gonna laugh, 3rd anniversary bundles. I want my bundle. I don't care how long it takes. I want the blank ding. I want the Ding Bell's birthday card. Like I don't care what anybody says. I want that card. I love the playmat. I hope we get it soon. But that is one thing that's outstanding is the 3rd anniversary bundles. That card though is ridiculous. It's actually the third anniversary is the one that actually makes all fourth wall effects actually active for that turn. Ridiculous when it comes to competitive play aspect.
It makes any card, even if it says it needs a real thing, real UFO, real meteor shower, makes any card viable to activate.
I'm scared of when that card actually goes out into circulation.
It'll be fun to see how many jank decks are built around something that could have been broken in the past but wasn't legal to play.
It'll be banned.
Fourth wall effect wise, and now it's possible to build a deck around that card for fun.
I love a Babaluga Ibu band. We're supposed to actually have Spirit Tower at Long Beach Collecticon. I don't think they didn't have Spirit, but I do believe they did have some sort of a constructed event at Long Beach. That was also the month that we were able to redeem our codes for NFTina. Which I don't know if you guys actually did. You guys get any of the NFTinas? The two? Okay. It was just pretty much a cat. Just it went around in a circle. It introduced us to a new character, NFTina, Tina the cat. Tina supposedly lives in the remnants of the internet, and basically can, in essence, possess any electronic device, whether it's computer or phone, things like that. I think it's kind of cool that they're actually creating a character, like an NFT-based character. I don't think the majority of the community will get it because not everybody is a holder. Not everybody has one of the PFPs or anything like that. That's one of the things about the PFP box is the exclusivity. Is that the word? That it actually had. Same thing with the PFP 2.0s. You're only going to be able to buy that booster box if you actually have one of the 2.0 PFPs. So I'm interested to see how they develop Tina over the course of the next couple years or so, or if Tina is going to become a bigger mascot for something. Just because like they did incorporate Tina into like with the Cryptid Busters, like with the whole PFPs of trying to like figure out. And if Tina's taking him over, and the Cryptid Busters are trying to stop him, and so I'm interested to see how they actually kind of develop that more.
Yeah, on that too, there was the promo set that was pre-sold with NFT and Cryptid Busters. Basically, probably kind of lore heavy with that scenario that we're waiting for, but that'll be interesting to see those cards and how they interact or synergize together.
Especially if they actually are telling a story that they were, like we were talking about, they were kind of hinting around about NFTina taking over the PFPs or whatnot. That month, we also got the pre-order for the Chibi Iowa Dragon, which I don't know where mine is. MetaZoo actually bought one for my birthday for me and actually sent it to me. I'm not sure where it is. I have it somewhere around here. But they went hard on plushies this year. Each tower had its own plushie. Like there were a lot of plushies this year. And then the next thing it looks like that's on your list is
these guys.
Hey, those guys.
Well, that's them.
I was not expecting you to just have like a handful of dragons on you. That's great.
They're the best, man.
That's so good.
I bought them for my son.
That's so good. I love it. August was also when Native Big Box went on sale at Target, the 3-pack blisters. And that was the first time that they actually had flipped the promo completely over, correct?
I believe so, yeah. Because the Wilderness ones were Smokey the Bear, so you knew it immediately.
And then the Seance ones had the Terra Forward.
That was the one that caused the issue because everybody was buying the Death and the Loveland or whatever. Cards. Yeah. So it was from that learning that they've gone, easy fix.
I loved it.
Turn
It was,
them
well,
around.
and the cool thing was that the coins didn't coincide with the promos either. So like that was also something that was kind of smart on their half too, because just because it has this right here, I'm going to get this promo. Not really. Like, I loved that aspect of it. And that, I believe, is all of August.
Cool. Bring on September.
All right, going into September. Mothman
Hey.
Festival and the Dark Tower. Oh, pretty squonk.
Squawk.
I love it. That's awesome. So yeah, going into September, we have Mothman Festival coinciding with Dark Tower. Mothman Festival was bigger than it was the year before in 2022. The Dark Tower was the first time that I had really seriously sat down and took a tower meta like serious and practiced and things like that, because my goal was to hit top 32. I was able to actually hit top 32. But Dark Tower was a lot of fun because it was the best Terra use, in my opinion. The way they had set it up to where certain beasties did this and this was always active and stuff, like, it was perfection, in my opinion, when it came to how a tower should operate. You don't need a 3 tower, you don't need a 3 times bonus. I mean, those are fun, you can still use it every now and then, but I like the specific pinpoint of
Fourth wall effects,
if you will. It made it so there were so many viable decks. Like, it wasn't like with just 1 or 2 different builds. There were like at least 5 or 6 different viable builds for Dark Tower. And I loved that. I loved that because that was one thing I kind of felt about Flame, at least from some of the deck builds I saw, was that they were primarily the same. There wasn't really much wiggle room on how you could do a build. But with Dark, it was just ridiculous. There were so many different possibilities. It rained the entire second day though, so it was very fitting that it was the Dark Tower. And it was super foggy and it was raining the entire day, and like, bless the people that stood in line outside at the Mothman Festival for the promos and stuff like that. But yeah, no, Mothman Festival was fun. But yeah, Dark Tower, like, if they do any sort of tower format in the future, they need to copy the way that they actually set that up. And again, like I was talking about before, the difference between water to dark was huge, in my opinion. It was huge. You could see how they had streamlined things. They had learned actually from issues from the past. And like, I saw a progression of things getting easier and better with each of the towers. Something I know that comes out later in November, but I still want to bring up in September, is the client, because that was the first time that we actually got to see gameplay of the client, was at Dark Tower as well. And that's another really interesting progression from Dark Tower to New York Comic-Con to beta release. Like, it's been really kind of cool watching the progression and the progress that they've made with that client over the last like couple months. Last two things really for September are the Disclosure 1.0 and the supporter medals, because that was the month that they really gave out a ton of bronze, silver, and gold supporter medals as well. Disclosure 1.0, I want to say that went on pre-order in July, maybe.
I honestly don't even remember, because Disclosure 1.0, I didn't think they'd posted it on Instagram or anything. Just one of the guys told me about it. I jumped on there and just bought a bunch, and a lot of people didn't, and nobody really knew what it was going to be. And then when they eventually showed up, we were like, "Whew!"
Yeah, that was a set where they, on social media and in Discord, they were dropping hidden signals and static images and stuff like that, like probably on like a Thursday. So everyone's like, oh, what's this? Can we solve it? What's going on? So we had a feeling that something was about to drop, or we were going to learn about something new. This is around the time as the U.S. congressional hearings about disclosed UFO stuff. And then the following day, just after another fuzzy image, mixed signal, redacted kind of thing, then they dropped them all of a sudden.
Well, and it was really kind of cool because once the cards actually came out in September, it took us probably about maybe a solid 2 weeks, and there were like a solid almost maybe dozen of us in the lore channel actually trying to like figure things out, decipher stuff, things like that. And then shout out to Razzmatazz, because Razzmatazz actually used the disclosure files to break the code for the UFO secret language that we hadn't been able to figure out since UFO came out. And that was a really kind of cool time, like where we all kind of came together for those couple weeks and actually like really worked together in order to figure this out. And it's one of the we'll talk about later about SCP and stuff. But like it's one of the reasons I get excited about SCP is because it's been told to us that it's that same type of thing where it's like you'll have to come together in order to work as a community to actually figure out exactly what the story is, what they're trying to say. So yeah, I loved the first disclosure stuff because it was just enough information to help us crack the code of the secret language. That and the PFPs, like it was almost kind of like them in conjunction, like the disclosure stuff, the NFTina Cryptid Buster, like it was I really had fun those like 2 weeks or so.
And then in September, the Disclosure 2.0 also went on sale sometime after the Mexican mummified alien kind of town hall thing that happened there.
But yeah, I want to say that Disclosure 1.0 went on pre-sale in July and it was in hand by September. And then Disclosure 2.0, like you said, went on pre-sale in September. And then that just landed like what, a week and a half ago or so, mid-December. Yeah, and that's all we got actually that's all we have for September. I mean, we have the supporter medals, and they sent out I don't even remember how many. Like there was a ton of bronze ones, it was a handful of silver ones, and it was even more of a handful of gold ones. It was primarily partners and big content creators like Nick Strength in Pokemon that actually got the gold supporter medals. They have talked about how they're going to start. I don't know if it's going to be January or so, but like they did make a comment or a post recently about how they were going to start giving out the medals again soon.
Yeah, they said that they're looking through everyone's content, especially since Kurumi's Cryptid Carnival came out. All that content to start planning on who they'll be awarding new medals to.
Nice. So I would imagine that probably would happen sometime, maybe January, maybe into February. I don't know. This is what I do. I theorize about things. It brings us to October. We only have 3 more months left. Brings us to October with Denver Collecticon and New York Comic Con. And I can't talk about New York Comic Con without actually bringing up Caster's Cup. And I know that's a really salty thing for a lot of people. I still stand by, I think it was a great idea for them to postpone Caster's Cup outside of New York Comic Con. Because I've said it already once on this stream, and I've said it multiple times before. Holding it at New York Comic Con, requiring a ticket to get entrance, would have priced out a lot of people. And that was part of the reason why, in my opinion, they didn't want to hold it at New York Comic Con to force it to happen after the con said, "Oh no, they have to have tickets," because they didn't want to they didn't want to do that. I do have to admit, Dean was right, because I did say I really thought the Caster's Cup was going to happen sometime early in December. So, Dean, you called it correctly.
Dean is always right.
Oh, don't even start that. Don't even start that.
Tell me what I was wrong about. Please do, please.
I will momentarily. I'll get back to you. But I do feel, though, that we probably will get some sort of a scaled down, maybe Caster's Cup or something to signify 2023. I don't know exactly what. I do know that in the letter, Mike was saying that they were reevaluating the whole competitive aspect, just basically because, again, they want to focus on trying to actually build the competitive aspect, bringing more players in from LGSs, things like that.
You know what
I
you
don't
could
know.
do?
I don't know how that's going to work going into the future. I doubt it's going to be the prize pool that it was before until we get up there to that point.
What they should do is, as I said earlier, every year do 5 aura towers, and then the following year do the other 5. So that's on an alternating scale, right? And then instead of holding the 2023 Caster Cup in 2023, you hold it somewhere randomly in 2024, different month, different location. And then obviously in 2024, you're going through that circuit, and then you're playing the 2024 Caster Cup in 2025. And they move that to a different time of the year in a different place. Kind of like what they do with the Super Bowl, right? They always have the Super Bowl at a no home ground advantage, and they move it every year somewhere else. So the Casters Cup is not necessarily always in November, always in December. Could be February one year, August the next year, July the year after, and it's always in a different place, but you keep those 5 tower events split over those, the 10 months, because December and January is a tough one, right? It's the end of the year and the start of the year. So you kind of want to stay out of there from a business aspect anyway, in terms of running a large scale event. I think doing it that way probably would work.
I don't know about it actually being a different month each year. That sounds like that would be difficult to get off for and plan around and stuff like that. But I do fully support, though, like 2023 Caster Cup being in early 2024. It doesn't have to be at the end of 2023. I keep going in my head. I keep thinking of like the Super Bowl, for example. The Super Bowl is always late January. Like it. I don't know.
It's in February, isn't it?
Like late January, early February. I'll tell you how much I know about football.
I'd say whatever they do for any events, the farther down the line they could get a date and address, even if it's tied just to a Collecticon. Just say, hey, this year it's at whatever Collecticon, so that people have more than enough time to get accommodations, to take off of work, to plan around it. It's less important when it is, more important that people have plenty of notice. So they can.
That's kind of what I was getting at, Shane, in terms of moving it around. And I didn't say Collecticon, but you saying it kind of leads off what I was trying to say is, yeah, it could be at Houston Collecticon at the start of the year, and then the next year they've actually got it later in the year because it just happens to be at Dallas, I don't know, somewhere else, like Kansas City Collecticon, because the Casters Cup that they did run, it was at Collecticon, and I thought it was great. I went there all the way from Australia. We had a great time. It was a smooth run event. We didn't stand in any lines because we went there and checked our decks in like straight away. We weren't stuck back all night because we dropped enough games. We were like, all right, we're dropping, we're out. We went to the pub anyway and hung out with, a bunch of people. But yeah, I think that might be the key, making it a little bit more flexible. Like you said, Shane, as long as people have time to prepare, then it really doesn't matter where it is or when it is. You just got to give people that opportunity to get their ducks in a row so they can get there.
Well said. In the month of October, we also had the madness of New York Comic Con. I was able to actually trade one of my caster packs. I actually opened it up and had a black mass. I was able to trade that for a Sunday ticket and some extra cash and stuff like that. And I was able to go Sunday to New York Comic Con in order to actually get some footage of the actual display, the booth, everything like that. I was 100% overwhelmed. I had no idea what I was walking into. I'd never gone to a con that size before. But it was great. I got to hang out with Mikey or Josh from the lads over in Jersey. I got to see like him and his family. Got to see a ton of different community members. I did get to get one of the Kuromi blind boxes, and I opened it. I made a reel, and then I sold it to Dean. So huge shout out to Dean because he helped me out because he actually bought my Kuromi plush. Huge. That was huge that you did that. But they also had the M2P2 boxes, which Mama Heiss, shout out again to IHC, Lads of Loveland. She actually got me one of them so I could actually make a short reel of it. So that's what I did for, it's on Instagram if you want to check it out. I actually tried the energy drink. The energy drink is not that bad. I kind of probably would actually say I prefer it over the Bigfoot juice. I liked the flavor of the Bigfoot juice and Gatorade probably more though. But it wasn't bad. The promos are huge from that set. M2P2 boxes are actually on sale right now. It's $30. It comes with 2 pins and 2 of the playable cards as well. Check it out on the website. You're completely right, Rob the Rob.
No God boxes.
Yeah.
No God boxes.
No God boxes, but you do get the Akanto box, and it doesn't include the supplement. So that's one of the reasons why it's discounted, not because they're fire selling it like TCG player in the collector sets, but because they removed a large chunk of the cost that they were putting in the New York City Comic Con and TwitchCon boxes, and is just selling the MetaZoo merch items and cards.
Yep. So yeah, like you said, it's not a fire sale. It's literally them just trying to sell the cards. And I mean,
but this is again, it sort of comes back to like collaborations and letting other people control your product. We'll talk about it when we get to TCG player, but that's what happens.
I mean, that's fair. I still don't feel though, like unlike what happened with TCG player and eBay and all that stuff, I don't feel like this is them trying to undercut anything. Like,
I agree.
You just have more product.
I had to say that because like I talked to like the M2P2 guys. They were actually super cool at New York Comic Con. I don't, like you were saying, I just wanted to push it out there. I don't see them selling these cards as a fire sale because for all we know, these are probably going to be either non-hollow. These are probably going to be non-hollow heavy. I know that they actually had some issues with the non-hollow cards logistically, things like that. So that might be another reason why they're so cheap is because you are probably going to get at least one non-hollow from these boxes. Again, that's all speculation. I don't know. I haven't opened one. I haven't ordered one. I don't know anything about what the pull rates from them are. But yes, I do see like bringing up the TCG player stuff though in a bit though. Like you can't let somebody else
control over
your product. No, the ones that were actually from NYCC, TwitchCon, stuff like that, I don't think they had any non-hollow cards in them. I think they were all full hollows. But I don't know.
I believe non-hollows exist though. I've seen them.
Yes.
But I do agree. I think the ones that were definitely sold at NYCC only came with hollow variants.
Yes.
But I know
that I can attest to that.
Non-hollow variants do exist.
I don't know if they were in the Twitch boxes at TwitchCon or not. I can't remember.
Maybe, I don't know. I bought boxes from both, and mine all just had full hollows. No God boxes.
Okay, no God boxes. I know. So yeah, all right. Then we move into November, where they had
the best month of the year.
While we're still in October, the plushies, the cosmic.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I meant to bring those up. Sorry, yeah, the cosmic plushies.
On pre-sale.
I think it's one of 3 different. There's like 3 different ones, but then there's 3 different variants of those 3. I think
something like that.
Maybe
can't remember. But I know it's like blockheads, and then UFO. I think is another one. I can't remember. But those went on pre-order though. Back in October.
Shmoo, Blockhead, and UFO.
Shmoos. Okay, Shmoos. But each one of them, I think, has like a variant. Oh, there's 2 variations. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know. I never talked a product that I didn't actually pick up myself. I missed that one.
Yeah, I didn't grab any of them either, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna end up. I know I'm gonna end up actually picking up the plushes at some point because I have almost every single plush at this point. So I'm like,
so will I.
Yeah. Sorry, Chelsea. So moving on to November, then the first thing we have to talk about is the Houston Collecticon, which actually that was another one of the Sam promos. I will say that which one was it? Was it the Denver one? No, it was the Kansas City one. All right, the Kansas City one was probably my favorite Sam promo because it was the one with him with Mothman on it. The Houston one, though, is probably a very close second just because it actually showed Sam, Rose, and Ben fighting Hopkinsville goblins. So that was that was kind of cool. We didn't. They also, the last of the Sam promos came out at CryptidCon, I think, that year or that month. I think that was the last one.
There's Houston.
Well, Houston, and then CryptidCon was the last one, I think, because CryptidCon happened after Houston Collecticon, and I can't remember which one was the Houston one, or not the Houston one. Sorry, the CryptidCon promo. I can't remember which one it was. It's the only one I'm missing, though, is that one. So I need to get that one. And then Dean became a daddy in November. Dallas was Snipe, yeah, but that was all the way back at the beginning. Lord Harry arrived. I love it. SCP went on pre-sale last month, and I know people were really hoping for a big set when it comes to SCP, but I understand why it's a smaller one and why they might have to break it up into smaller sets to make one bigger SCP set. Most people don't realize the logistical legal nightmare it takes when it involves SCPs. If you don't know, the SCPs and SCP Wiki, all of that is actually operates pretty much under Creative Commons, meaning that you can't really take something to trademark it, to do this, to do that, or anything. You can't make, in essence, like money really off of it. You can get permission to reproduce some SCPs, but you have to get the specific artist to okay it, or the person who actually runs the thread for that specific SCP. There's a lot of legal jargon and mumbo jumbo that goes with it. So I'm glad that it's a smaller set, and it's really cool too because you can focus on some of the cryptid SCP aspects, because most of the cryptids actually have an SCP designation. So I'm really interested to see actually how this set comes. I'm excited for SCP.
To touch on the history of it, it was supposed to be a mini set, possibly Halloween set, back in December of 2022, and it got pushed because they really wanted to do a full set of it. So then it was supposed to be the Halloween core set for this year. So then when it got pushed again, they were like, well, if we keep it a core set in a full release, well, then it's going to push everything next year even farther, since war is already pushed out to next year. So it seems like breaking it down into 2 or 3 mini sets, kind of a booster box like the eBay Wilderness, will make it so they can get it out throughout next year without pushing all the core sets down the line even further. Same with, I believe,
excited for it.
Andy may have said that they aren't simply crediting, giving the proper credits for the Creative Commons for the SCPs, but they plan on making, I believe he said, actual web pages for each of the creators and to credit them. So there'll be more credit than just a name on a card. They'll actually have a page crediting them and possibly with information about the SCP and stuff as a resource database compared to just using the likeness or the SCP. And I think that'll be really nice to just like the cryptid map app that you guys that is being worked on, having something to go along with the cards that's educational that people can reference is great, instead of just the cards and leaving it up to people to do their own internet research.
I'm interested to see how they incorporate SCP into the MetaZoo lore and universe as a whole.
Whether they're intertwined right alongside the lore and the characters we know, or whether it's a little more like Sanrio, where the characters are interacting with SCP, but it isn't part of the main storyline that
like adjacent,
Mike is telling.
Yeah.
Kind of like the role-playing game that you guys made. It was an adjacent thing. It's its own storyline that you guys made up, and it doesn't directly involve the characters and plot of the main MetaZoo storyline.
Well, I will say, though, we actually it doesn't involve any of the main characters, casters and cryptids, but we did base all of our decisions and like the landscape and everything like that based off of Cryptid Nation, the state that it was actually in. So I don't, and that's one of the things I think is actually kind of interesting, is that this is completely off topic, but Mike has actually even said that once the main base storyline is written, that he wants other community members, other things like that. He wants people to actually expand on the universe and in essence make it an expanded universe. Like I keep making the comparison to the expanded universe that Star Wars has. Lucas had to sign off on all of it, but Lucas didn't write 90%, 95% of the extended universe in Star Wars, like all the legacy stuff now. So I'm kind of excited that once that story comes out, like other people flushing out little tidbits here and there of the lore of like all the different wars that took place in Cryptid Nation between like the Shattering the Veil in 2024 and 2034 when Sam actually leaves Point Pleasant. Like I'm interested about that aspect. November is also when they released they closed beta for the Cryptic Clash online client. If you haven't actually had a chance to play it yet, there's a link in the description. You can go and sign, basically join the Discord, sign up. They're still actively giving out codes, actively updating it. Like it seems to be weekly at this point. I know it's been the holidays the last couple of days, so we haven't really gotten a big update since before Christmas. They just introduced running packs, basically opening up different booster packs, things like that. It is going to be game changing once they open up the beta, and then once it actually goes to iOS and Android mobile, end of Q1, beginning of Q2. Like the number of eyes that are going to see the franchise because of that game, it's going to be ridiculous. And I'm having a blast playing it. Super easy. Once you get the hang of it, I mean, you're pretty much good to go, and that's it. And it is, in essence, MetaZoo gameplay. I mean, there's still some kind of like strange stuff they have to do in order to take the fourth wall physical card and turn it into an actual like digital environment card.
Yeah, they're modifying some of the fourth wall effects that you'd physically do or that a card might physically need. They're modifying it so that it's ease of use, especially on cell phones. So it isn't going to be a one-to-one to the paper version, but they're doing it so that it doesn't cause an undue burden on creating the game, as well as it streamlines the game a little bit more. They've said they're open to some of the things that they're taking out initially, like multiple blockers and stuff like that. So they're not saying that anything they modify will never be included in the digital version. They just need to find a minimal product or the minimal mechanics that they need to function properly to release the game. And they're going to aim for that, to minimize the amount of time they have to spend creating it.
Well, there isn't much. I mean, honestly, like from playing it from Dark Tower to now, honestly, I would say the one thing that might be holding it back the most would be card pool. But I already know that they're working on a ton of other cards. Like they just gave us a long list of cards that they're actively testing that aren't available to us yet as beta testers to play with. And so, I mean, that's the original goal. And as long as they actually can keep up with that and they can keep just interjecting more cards into the card pool, that's honestly most of what it needs at this point. There's some customizable, I can't, whatever that word is. Like picking your actual like profile picture and things like that. Like there's different cosmetic stuff that they can improve on, but I'm really impressed with how they were able to translate the complex gameplay actually into that client.
Yeah, I think the last kind of wall they're working on getting over mechanics wise is having the graphic to show, be able to search your spell book to see the discard piles, stuff like that. As soon as they have all that in the game, then they can release a much larger card pool. Because at the moment, mechanics, including searching your deck or pulling things out of the afterlife for spirit, they can't add those cards yet until those graphical UI kind of stuff is there. So as soon as they get the UI needed to use those mechanics, then we'll see plenty of cards come flooding in, just based off the fact that they already have stuff coded.
I don't know. I'm excited. I still think they're actually on track to be able to open up the closed beta to here soon.
I think this month they're hoping on, if they can get to a goalpost that they're working on, as soon as they get to that goalpost, then they'll be ready to open up the beta possibly in January.
Because they lifted the embargo on actually content creation like a week or two ago. So there's actively been people actually making content. I went live one time and played a couple games. I actually should probably do that more often, to be honest with you. I played enough.
Sorry, we played a game. Who won that game?
I mean, I don't know, but my RP is actually pretty good right now, boy. So calm down. Mom will get me that headcaster, grandcaster promo at the end of it. Watch.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay,
get out
buddy.
of here. Get out of here. All right, let's go. I'll bring up my dark deck right now. We'll have a match here live.
Okay, buddy.
Oh. Next thing that actually came out in November is fan art 2023. They included an extra card in the booster pack because of how long it actually took for them to actually get it to us. And it was everybody loved it. It was one of those where I saw streamers, everything like that, streaming it, ripping it all the time. People trying to chase not just the art, the artist cards that actually were thrown in, but also actually the fan art versions of them as well. People wanting the fan art versions more than the artist versions.
It was done really well. The fact that it was 2 packs in one blister as well, just it was a really well put together product, and they should utilize that product construction for other similar sets in the future.
And I'm not going to go too much into it because you and I talked about it pretty much in depth last month, Dean. But that was pretty much around the same time that a handful of the artists actually decided to leave MetaZoo as well. Which MetaZoo in tandem pretty much at the same time introduced the fan art pretty much 2023 contest or so. And what it is I believe, what is it? Top 20 card gets cards, and then the top 5, like the 5 finalists actually are going to be offered a job actually being an artist for MetaZoo. And the cool thing about this version of the contest was that it was only on existing beasties that they've done art for before, but it could be any medium. So it could be clay, it could be with chalk, it could actually be with colored pencils, it could be with watercolor, it could be with pastel.
Charcoal, digital.
Yeah, it did not matter. And like if you have not had a chance to yet, go to Instagram, type in the search bar, hashtag MetaZoo Fan Art 2023, and like some of this stuff is insane.
It is very good. This is what I think, and like we covered, we've had some great artists. We've been very blessed, but they ain't the only 5-6 blokes on this planet that can draw, right? So like, there's some crazy stuff that I've already seen from new people as well.
And I'm not talking ill about any of the past artists because I love you all.
No.
You're all amazing for what you've helped create with this community. But I am very excited for the end of this art contest. And I actually really like that they extended it until January 10th, because there were people, again, we talked about this before, about how this is like the busiest time of year. And it was nice that they let people have a little bit of extra time, so they weren't rushed right before the holiday or like for Christmas, New Year's, whatever. I mean, like, I love that they actually pushed it off until the 10th.
It also was nice to have such a low barrier of entry, just needing to tag MetaZoo, use the hashtag, and have as many entries as you want. Having the complicated sending in, as cool as it would have been, sending in the stamped promo card redeemable from the previous year and return postage and all this other stuff. As cool of an idea as it was a giant logistical issue for them to do. So simply making it digital through social media, all of those tags get thrown up on social media. Everyone gets to share in seeing all that fan art rather than waiting for the next year to come around to see it later on. It was really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. Basically, I guess we'll talk about that at the end of January, Dean. The next thing actually is probably my favorite thing of the year, and it's the manga. They started coming out with the manga in November. They've released 4 chapters of it so far. The 5th one is coming out tomorrow. Which the release on it, they actually, I know they were really excited for the manga because they released an entire release schedule for the manga, and they released the first couple like sooner than it was supposed to be on the schedule. So it seems like we haven't gotten any in a while, but in reality, chapter 5 is supposed to be scheduled to come out tomorrow. So they are actually right on track with the manga. I like the medium. I like the way that they're actually telling the story. They're not going super far in depth detail like they were before with the light novel, but they're giving you enough to where they'll be able to go in depth on the stuff that they're not explaining fully now later, and it will still make sense, and you'll still have that aha moment when they actually do fully explain what it is. Like Sam's abstract power, for example. They never once really kind of acknowledged the abstract power in the beginning of the manga, whereas in the original comic, that was kind of almost explained in the first chapter when he's actually at the baseball field. But I like the direction that Mike's going with the manga. I love Rock's illustration style. And yeah, I can't, like, we won't get new info though.
I love your voiceovers. I love the videos you do and the voiceovers.
Yeah, well, thank you.
It's so good, man. So good.
We won't get new storyline though until I believe chapter 7, maybe 6 or 7. So we still got a couple weeks. I think it's like end of January before we get our first real new lore comic. So I'm excited about that. Wow, a lot happened in November. And then the last thing in November, well, I guess there's 2 more things actually. Man, all right, well, we'll do this one first. Black Friday. They did the Black Friday sale, which was huge discounts on all sorts of different stuff. And you also got promo packs depending on how much you actually spent. These promos are like ridiculous. And the Sam, actually, in my opinion, I think the Sam has a new mechanic on it. I'm hoping we actually see that mechanic in War, because if not, that Sam is going to be broken. But Yeah, the Black Friday. I haven't heard a single complaint about the Black Friday promos.
Yeah, the only issue that ends up needing to be talked about is MetaZoo between the marketplace promos and these Black Friday promos. A lot of people weren't clear on when they were supposed to get them, whether they were coming with their product, they were being sent out in waves afterwards, if they were included with the pre-orders of SCP, or if they're coming with the sweatshirt. So as happy as everyone is to get them, anyone who hasn't received them yet was worried about when they're going to get them. I think Dio just said today, one of the moderators, that they're still shipping out the first wave of Black Friday promos. That doesn't include
the thing is, and they've actually talked about that today.
Sweatshirt and others, even.
Well, they didn't talk about it today, but they talked about that before, though, to where they have to wait until the product's been sent out before they send out the promo packs. Because if they send out the promo packs and they didn't send out the actual product, in theory, you could try to gyp them by canceling the actual order because you got the promo packs.
And it's not even that, just the first wave of packs for stuff that's already been delivered still hasn't fully gone out yet. So people who have received Black Friday stuff.
We never got an actual print run for those promo packs. And they said that the promo packs were actually going to be limited. And then after a while, they were actually going to do a second version of them, if you will.
I just wanted to clarify that Black Friday packs, people who have gotten their Black Friday merchandise who are still waiting, they still haven't sent out those all yet. Obviously, there's the ones that will come after the sweatshirt and after things that haven't been sent, but just the initial first send out of the Black Friday packs, they're still working on them. So somebody who got their stuff
have been sent out, I think, is the sweatshirt. Everything else should have been sent out, but I mean, it was probably a solid 2 weeks, 4 weeks. No, 2 weeks. It was a solid 2 weeks after I actually got the Black Friday stuff that I got anything to do with the promo pack.
That's a way better turnaround time from those Series 1 packs, though.
Yeah.
Like MetaZoo obviously got these, probably had them in hand on Black Friday, and then go, all right, once the sale's done, send out everybody's merch, literally 2 weeks to the day or 8 days to the day, and send out all their packs.
Well, that was Andy was even saying that the only thing they didn't have in hand were the jackets,
which is fair, and that's the only thing I bought. I bought a couple of those because I'm hoping to get one of those uncut sheets.
Oh, right.
My other uncut sheets.
So they take longer because they needed to wait till the sale was done on the sweatshirts to then serialize them based on how many were sold.
But the Black Friday sale was great. I thought it was awesome. And Rob actually pulled one of the Sams today. There's only been a handful of them that I've actually seen even pulled.
Damn, Rob.
Yeah, got really jealous. I'll be honest with you. I'm super jealous about that. And then the last thing that we got in November was Kuromi's Cryptid Carnival. And I know we only actually got 2 core sets this year. We got Native and Kuromi. But honestly, in my opinion, those are 2 of the most playable sets that MetaZoo's released. There's a lot of power when it comes. I know there's been a lot of people who are turned off because of it being Kuromi and it cute and things like that. There's a lot of power though in those cards. And it was doing really well for the first 2 weeks, MSRP wise. It was doing really well, stabilized in price, card prices, singles, and things like that. And what tanked the price, in my opinion, was TCG Player.
That's not your opinion. That is a fact.
TCG Player going in and massively reducing their collector box prices, which is very reminiscent and similar to what Magic the Gathering used to do on Amazon. they would wait a couple months and then they would just go and dump all their product on Amazon at ridiculous prices. Collector boxes you could usually buy for normally would go for $250. You could buy for $97. And that's literally the same thing.
Is it ended up cheaper than actual distro pricing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even on par. It was cheaper than actual distro pricing. And it's just like.
So, and that had nothing to do with MetaZoo. That was all TCG Player and eBay. So I'm tired of people saying, oh, MetaZoo killed the Kuromi price. No, they didn't. That was TCG Player and eBay. But I will say this. I firmly believe that once the collector boxes actually go out, that the prices are actually going to, the prices of the booster boxes will go back up. Yeah. I mean, I firmly actually believe that. But yeah,
as soon as product is dried up and it's not the cheapest option anymore, then it can start to regain eventually.
Yeah. TCG Player killed the price of Kuromi. And I mean, I got one of the collector boxes. I traded actually Mike and the lads for one of the collector boxes so I could open it. I haven't actually posted the video yet of the opening. One of the boxes I got 16 full hollows, so that was cool. The other one I actually did get one of the Sanrio 6. I mean, spoiler. But there wasn't anything that was super duper different than the other regular booster boxes. So I mean, of course, people are going to buy the collector boxes because of how cheap they are, because you can get two pretty much for the price of what MSRP should have been. I don't know. It's sad, but at the same time, I'm tired of people actually blaming MetaZoo for that, because that was TCG Player and eBay.
Seen it before. It's just uneducation.
Again, I always point back to Magic the Gathering, because Magic the Gathering does that. They used to do it. They haven't done it lately, but they used to do that all of the time with their new sets. They just wait a month, wait 2 months, and boom, it would be on a huge Amazon dump. Rudy's talked about it. Go and check out some of the Magic the Gathering videos on Rudy's channel. Like it was a thing, and it was hilarious, and it was like clockwork every single set. And so that's pretty much what they did, in my opinion.
Yeah, what hurt this time as well was the day they basically started shipping these collector sets, they did the refund and dropped the price. So the market didn't have a chance to take in the collector's boxes. As nice as it was that nobody way overpaid for it, if they wanted to help sell through some, they could have done less of a price. They could have waited a month, but they're such in a hurry just to liquidate their boxes.
If you want to reduce the price, make the boxes $225. That still makes the booster boxes roughly about $110, $115. Like, there's just so many different avenues that they could have actually taken. And anyway, at the end of the day, TCG Player and eBay weren't looking out. They were looking out for themselves and their bottom line. They weren't really looking out for anybody else, any other company, anything like that. They were just looking out for themselves. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I wish it would have turned out different, but there's nothing. MetaZoo's hands were tied at that point. There's nothing they can do. No. We did though also get to change completely from that. We did actually get the PFP reveals finally, which was huge in my opinion. And like these, oh my God, Jet, like hands down, amazing work. And I know it took a while for them to actually generate all of them, but they were regenerating them, and they had to go through and pretty much check every single one to make sure that elements weren't hidden, because they were afraid that certain specific lore elements or smaller rare elements might get hidden. Think of kind of like the first ones with the bandanas. I bet you there's a handful of them that have something on their face or their eyes or something that are hidden because of the bandana, the bandage going around the eyes. They didn't want something like that happening again.
Yeah, there's still a handful that have like the cryptid tape in front, but one of the like examples that Andy showed was the aura effect is supposed to be behind, and not covering anything. But some of the test things that they're doing, the ore would end up layering right in front and blocking the whole thing.
Oh,
So
wow.
they wouldn't want to release it if it was even going to screw over one person and completely ruin their PFP.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it took a lot. It took longer, but I mean, they had to generate them every single time, and I have no idea what it takes to make those or generate that many times, or to check them or anything like that. I'm stoked with my Akanto Dragon now, and I'm interested to see where they actually move forward with the PFP stuff. The only other things really I have on here is Disclosure 2.0. Pretty much landing in people's hands in the last week or two. And the Kuromi Cryptid Carnival three-pack blister just went on sale on the Target website. There's 3 different versions of it, a pink, a purple, and a green, I think.
That's what they're labeled as, yeah. There's 3 different arts on the backside of the cardboard. They also show 2 different promos, Chibi UFO, and I believe like the Kuromi and Black Dog. No, Kuromi and Chibi Mothman is the other promo. So we don't know if there's more promos that we just don't see, or if there's any other kinds of differences, but notable that there's 3 different arts for the cardboard backdrop of these. And you can pick which one you want on the website.
I would imagine there's probably only 3 different promos, just like there were for the native ones. Just because, yeah, I mean, I don't know why they would make more, but have 3.
Seems simple enough just to keep with that.
Yeah. And then Disclosure 2.0, I know people have been ripping, and it looks insane in my opinion. There's so many ridiculously playable cards in that. The Flatwoods Monster, the Men in Black, Intergalactic Space Council. Like, there's so many playable cards that are actually in that. And I'm excited. I kind of hope they kind of keep that theme going. The new Men in Black, yeah. I really hope they kind of keep that theme going where they actually have these stories like that they want to tell that can be adjacent to the main storyline or part of the main storyline, but not part of the actual core set. Like, I love what they've been doing with the Disclosure stuff, and I really hope that moving forward, that's kind of how they focus their mini set stuff, where it has a core theme that ties into a larger theme, but can still be its own standalone thing. If that makes any sort of sense. Like, I don't know. It kind of makes sense in my head, but
it'd be nice to see, just like we got 2 of these cosmic sets. Maybe NFTina is focused on lightning, so we got a bit of a boost for lightning with as they do that mini set. Or these mini sets can boost these different aura types and potentially be in the zeitgeist. So like we saw the Disclosure papers with the U.S. hearings and the mummified alien. If MetaZoo obviously can't print at the same speed as current events actually happening, but if sets or cards can come out within the same year, there's something notable happening in popular culture, then that'd be really cool to see. So it's not just cryptids that have been around for a while. It's in real time, the same year something gets found or seen.
Well, they did that actually with the Disclosure stuff with the Aloosh, and then with the mummified alien. Like, that was all stuff that actually was in the news this year. So that's kind of cool that they were able to incorporate that into the Disclosure stuff. Yeah, that would be hard though, to be able to print real current events in like real time.
It wouldn't be. That's why I said like within a year of it happening. Maybe like the Alooks saying, hey, we're going to have a card someday that touches on the current event that's happening, but not put it up for pre-order, not plan on it being out in 45 days, just a, hey, we see what's happening and we think it's cool. And then someday down the line, we get it included in something.
That is something I do appreciate about the letter too, because I know we've briefly talked, we've gone back and forth about the letter, touching on it pretty much throughout the entirety of everything. I really like that they're going to focus on getting caught up on everything across the board before they really actually start moving forward with a lot of new stuff. And I think we've already actually started to see the progress of them trying to catch up. Because again, I mean, the CryptidCon 2022 promo, they just shipped out like about a month ago. So I see them actually starting to catch up, because the next one honestly should be, again, like I said, the NFT card, the Valentine's NFT card. I think it should be the next one.
We haven't seen a physical image of it, but we have seen uncut sheet pieces of the 3rd anniversary and at least the 3rd anniversary.
The birthday ding bell. Didn't we?
So that should be, yeah. So we should definitely be seeing things come whenever they are physically in hand, basically.
I think we're going to have a lot of stuff pop up all at once. Just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, just as soon as they get them in hand, then they can send them out right away.
Exactly.
So
and
that'll just take time for everything to get brought over.
With them using that mindset of, we're not doing pre-orders until we earn the trust of everybody back. We're literally going to list it up when we have it in hand. I think that's going to speak volumes. Yeah,
potentially worst case, not selling anything more. Catching up on everything. The first set of SCP the first drop of SCP comes out, and between SCP and War, you're just making sure that those two get made properly after they're caught up.
But y'all know me. I know people make fun of me about it, but I have full faith that MetaZoo is going to be here, that MetaZoo is around. Like, it's not going to go anywhere, regardless of what anybody wants to actually say. I don't believe in any way that MetaZoo is broke. I mean, MetaZoo has money. And I see, especially with the way that Mike actually made the letter and approached the community, I have a strong feeling that they have actually watched everything that's come out over the last month. They've listened to the people who actually have constructive criticism, not the people who are yelling at them, but the people who literally want to have a conversation. And I feel like moving forward into 2024, we're going to see a way better position at the end of the year than like where we are right now. Like I have a strong feeling. I think 2024 is going to be a good year. The focus on the core sets, the focus on the IP, the focus on building LGS support at the ground level, in order to then expand into hopefully Collecticon tournaments, things of that nature right there. The integration of MetaZoo into the cryptid community as a whole, trying to get the cryptid community into MetaZoo more versus MetaZoo into the cryptid community. I think 2024 is going to be big. I really do.
As long as they follow through on everything on the letter,
yes,
it will be phenomenal. 100%. That's it. It's literally.
I have faith that they're going to, and I know a lot of people
addressed everything he had to. He addressed everything he had to. Now follow through on it, and we are not even back at square one. If that's done, we've leveled up.
They can't fix everything overnight or by January 1st. It's going to take time to fix what's currently delayed, and then they can start the healing process of building back up over time. And obviously the longest thing that might take is confidence and trust. And they just have to take the year to show people that it can be done. And then
Joseph, what does a successful 2024 look like? A successful 2024, in my opinion,
it looks like the letter.
It would be a successful rollout of War, Legacy, 7 Seas, with a release of Yokai into Japan. The continuation of the rollout of the manga, explaining what the storyline is, getting us invested in the characters, getting us invested in the beasties. Best case scenario would be some sort of an animated show, maybe towards the late part of 2024. I don't know if that would actually happen. That might actually be early 2025. the Glitch Bit Arcade actually being rolled out across LGSs, across the entire planet. That would actually be something else that would actually draw in more people. But the focus, like I can't stress this enough, but the focus on the core sets and the IP is the main thing for going into next year. Especially since they do have the manga, they do actually have the story that they can actually fall back on now and push that, because that is something that MetaZoo has never really done, is push a storyline. And so they have that now that they can actually push, especially with War being a very lore-centric focused set. I don't think there needs to be a reduction of print run. I think the print runs can actually stay at 50,000. Just because that's a healthy enough amount to be able to distribute across everywhere, and at the same time it's limited amount enough to where it's not going to end up like Wilderness or UFO, because those were 100,000 print run. We're not at that point yet,
Yeah, especially if they don't do an eBay version and a bunch of other versions, reprints in a bunch of collab products and stuff, that 50K will get to stretch a bit farther. If they do a reduction in print run, there's always the option of a second edition or something. If for some reason everything completely dried up and it goes to the moon, but that's doubtful. So a reduction in print run wouldn't hurt, but that 50K, if you're even sticking with it, will go a lot farther if they aren't doing a bunch of other stuff for people.
Well, that was something that I think the letter addressed.
And
the letter actually, I think, was talking about how they weren't going to print core sets into like big box stuff anymore, because it would keep the print run of the core sets to the core set, but at the same time it would actually help keep the prices for the core sets more stabilized, or you wouldn't have a $200 possessed aura that first edition and then a $140 possessed aura that was big box, or a $90 possessed aura that was big box. So that's actually something that honestly, that makes sense to my opinion. Like you keep the core set as the core set. You don't need to, like you just said, reprint it as like a big box product or something.
Like, I wouldn't mind seeing first edition product going into retail stores instead. Have the 3-pack blisters, but have them first edition cards. You can stick with the 50K overall, but don't create a bunch of sub sets of just reprints of the cards.
Somebody did actually comment to Melissa. She said, so no detailed book for 2024. I don't know. With him actually focusing on the manga now, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we actually got some sort of a light novel, maybe, or we could actually get the detailed book. But I don't know what the timeline for that would be, because again, the focus is the manga in order to be able to use that as a jumping point to go to the anime.
I'd say maybe when's the end of the manga schedule, and maybe hope that the book would follow soon.
Maybe, but the thing is that the manga goes all the way until July, but the manga isn't the full Cryptid Nation story, I don't think. I think there's going to be more after. If I was to put a random theorized date on a book, it honestly might be after there is a TV show. I don't know at this point, because like I said, I know the focus has been more on the manga for that jump off point to get to a show, but I don't know.
The book might also be based on when a publisher wants to pick it up, compared to MetaZoo footing the bill themselves. Because Mike even said that at the time, one of the things he wanted to stretch with the book early on is being able to put a promo or something in it, as well as make the special edition of the book. But if he couldn't find a publisher who was willing to work with them, they weren't just going to give it to some publisher. They're going to do it their way. Yeah. So the book may simply be in limbo until a publisher picks it up, or they feel they've gone far enough with the manga. So up in the air when they feel is an appropriate time to push the book again.
Yeah.
Into production. Appropriate time to.
But yeah, that's it. I don't know. I'm spent. That was 3 hours of a lot. Throw that back up there just again so everybody can see it. Yeah, that right there. That was 3 hours of a lot. You can find that image also on MetaZooArchives.com as well. Again, Shane is pretty much the one that transcribes everything, puts everything up on the archives, tries to get the set lists and things like that for different stuff. So
thank you for doing that as well.
Yeah, that was huge. That was big. That was a lot to talk about, though. See, and that's the thing is that everyone's so focused on like 3 or 5 specific things, which yes, they do need to be addressed. Yes, they do need to be actual like rectified. But there's so much positivity that actually took place this year too. There's so many good things that actually took place this year. So yeah, thanks to the 24 or 25 of you. I know it's jumped up a little bit, but there's been at least consistently 24 or 25 of you actually here hanging out, listening to us ramble. So I appreciate that. You guys are legends. But yeah, you guys have any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to add?
Nah.
Dean needs sleep. That's what it is.
No.
He's like, the baby's asleep. Let me go. I want to sleep. The baby's asleep.
We covered everything, man. I mean, I didn't anticipate it to take 3 hours. I was like, it'll be a good 2 hour fill.
Yeah.
But it was. I think we ticked everything off. And like we said, to summarize it, as long as MetaZoo follow through on the letter, there is no possible way I could see at the end of next year having similar conversations or outcomes based on what's transpired this year.
As long as they're able to complete what they said in the letter sometime next year, then it can begin the healing process and working back up and regaining confidence. But if you're going to have a bad time if you expect everything to turn around by January 1st and for everything to go perfectly again.
Things take time.
Too many people are all like, if everything has to happen immediately and be perfect, or else nothing's worth anything. And that's just dismissing all the great things and experiences we can have next year if you just throw it in the trash bin before the year's even out.
I have full faith, again, like I said, I've said it already once, I have full faith that the things that were addressed actually in the letter, the things that have been addressed outside of the letter even, are all stuff that they're taking seriously. They're trying to actively win back that trust that people feel like they've lost. And I have full faith that they're going to be able to do it. I think, like I said, we're going to see a lot of big changes very quickly. I think we're going to actually get a lot of the backlog of product in hand very quickly. And then I think once they actually move past that, I honestly think that we're going to be, in a way stronger position than we've been before. And again, with War, 7 Seas, and Yokai, if they can knock it out of the park with those 3 sets in 2024, like I said, I have full faith that MetaZoo isn't going anywhere. I do not feel like for a second that MetaZoo is going to fail or go under or anything like that. Regardless, it's too big of an IP. It's too big of a company right now. Somebody would actually buy it up before it actually went bankrupt. And that's to say also too, MetaZoo has money, so we need to just let them rectify the boat, put it back to where it needs to be. And like you said, Shane, it's going to take a little bit of time. It just is. There's no way of getting around it. But I don't know. I feel like we are going to leave 2023 on a positive note. I know there's a lot of negativity and saltiness out
This
there,
is it.
But
this is the positive note.
There's a lot to actually be. I mean, there's a lot to be.
2 days to go.
So. No snack breaks. I have not gotten paid for Dark Tower yet, but they said they were going to do it before the end of 2023, so they still have time. And the 2024 roadmap as well too. They didn't actually release the 2023 one until I think it was December 29th or 30th. So I would expect that over the next couple days. Yeah, and we'll
that's
go from
something
there.
they don't want to get wrong because people pointed to that for a whole year. Anything that was inaccurate, they threw MetaZoo over a skewer. So
I'll be honest, I don't even think they need a roadmap. I wouldn't even put out a roadmap. I would give a date.
Nobody else does.
I'd give a date for when Legacy's coming out, and then I would give a date for potentially when War is coming out, and that's it. Like, you don't need. I understand why they do it, and I am appreciative of it, but they don't need it. Especially if people are going to lose their minds when it isn't fully like followed. So I don't know.
Gravy,
yeah,
baby.
I'll shout that out too. If anybody is around California, they are doing a New Year's Eve metal event. So check that out on Instagram. They're also, I think it's actually maybe on the Discord as well too. So, yeah, even the months for the core sets, Frosty. That's a good idea too. Even just months. You don't even have to give us a date. So, anyway, my name is Turmentic. Thank you guys for listening to this 3-hour long recap. There was a lot that went on in 2023. Joined by always is the amazing MetaZoo Dean right over here. Dean Streams, aka MetaZoo Nation. And of course, Shane Cutthroat, thank you for everything that you do for the community. Thank you for actually compiling all the data, the information and stuff that you do, updating the archives. You are a huge asset to this community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, my name's Turmentic. I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year's. I know it's coming up here in a couple days. And
stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. Don't do anything dumb. All right, don't do anything dumb. Stay safe, and we will see you in 2024. No idea what the schedule is going to be like. We're going to figure that out as I get closer. To probably won't have a show next week, but the following week afterwards, I want to start actually interviewing some cryptid content creators. I want to interview more community members as well. All sorts of stuff. So like this year we're going to keep it going. I'm going to try to actually get some more of the artists on as well. We actually got some of the artists last year, which was really fun. And yeah, I don't know. I'm going to just keep on keeping on with Let's Talk MetaZoo, because that's what I like to do. But yeah, my name is Turmentic. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and catch you soon. Bye.